tierra bella, de mi tierra santa. Oigo ese grito de los tambores y los timbales al cumbanchá. Y ese pregón que canta un hermano que de su tierra vive lejano y que recuerdo le hace llorar. Una canción que vive entonando de su dolor, de su propio llanto y se le escucha penar. La tierra te duele, la tierra te da en medio del alma cuando tú no estás. La tierra te empuja de raíz y cal. La tierra suspira si no te ve más. La tierra donde naciste no la puedes olvidar porque tiene tus raíces y lo que dejas atrás. La tierra te duele, la tierra te da en medio del alma cuando tú no estás. Siguen los pregones, la melancolía y cada noche junto a la luna sigue el guajiro entonando el sol. Y cada calle que va a mi pueblo tiene un quejido, tiene un lamento, tiene nostalgia como su voz. Esa canción que sigue entonando corre en la sangre y sigue llegando con más fuerza al corazón. La tierra te duele, la tierra te da en medio del alma cuando tú no estás. La tierra te empuja de raíz y cal. La tierra suspira si no te ve más. Tiene un quejido, tiene un lamento, nunca lo olvido. La llevo en mis sentimientos, sí señor, oigo ese grito. Vive el recuerdo, corre en mi sangre. La llevo por dentro como no de mi tierra bella y santa. Sufro ese dolor que hay en su alma, aunque esté lejos yo la siento. Y un día regreso, yo no sé.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the virtual Latina Style Business Series, Orlando, Florida. Please give a warm welcome to Latina Style President and CEO, Robert Bard.
Good morning, everybody, once again. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm Robert Bard with Latina Style. I'm delighted to be here with all of you, and we're very happy to be back in Orlando, and we're looking forward to working with you today in this wonderful conference. Of course, we wanted to be together with you in person. However, COVID-19 made that impossible. So we're still with you, only desde lejos. We'll still have a wonderful conference. I hope that all of you are okay, that your families are okay, that everybody's been taken care of. So without further ado, let's get started with the conference. And first of all, we would like to thank the partners who made this possible. So first, let's thank all of the organizations that joined us for Orlando and made this possible for us. But first, I think we have a message from a very good friend and a great leader from our community, Ms. Ramiro Cavazos, President of the United States Chamber of Commerce. Ramiro?
Buenos dias. Good morning, Robert, and good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. I'm very honored to be with you this morning. I want to thank Robert and Lupita, and of course, Latina Style for the powerful work that they have done for more than 25 years to lift up our Latina entrepreneurs. On behalf of our chairwoman, Alice Rodriguez, and our board of directors, I have the great privilege of working for 260 Hispanic chambers from around the country, 5 million Hispanic-owned businesses, and of course, 61 million Latinos that we represent and their needs for advocacy. I want to thank all the sponsors nationwide. There's some great partners, longtime friends, Lori Burgos and many others. Belinda Kierkegaard with the Orlando Community Economic Development Office, and of course, our great Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando. I want to commend Prosperas Augusto and of course, Gabi with the Metro Chamber. So Robert, thank you for being a great champion of Latina entrepreneurs for many years. I just wanted to congratulate everyone, wish you well, safe and healthy entrepreneurship, and into next year, we will look forward working with you, Robert and Lupita, to rebuild our economy. And on behalf of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, thank you for allowing me to bring you warm greetings and to let you know that the best is yet ahead. We're a resilient community, and thank you to all of you today for the presentation. And thank you to the city of Orlando for your resiliency. And then my friend Julio Fuentes with the Florida Hispanic Chamber, and Lily with the South Hispanic Chamber of Florida. So gracias a todos.
Muchas gracias, Ramiro, and thank you so much for the wonderful work that you're doing. And now, well, speaking of Belinda, let's have you already got your introduction from Ramiro. So Belinda, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you, Robert, and good morning to everyone. As Ramiro indicated, I'm Belinda Ortiz Kierkegaard. I'm the chairman of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando, as well as the City of Kissimmee's Economic Development Director. Our chamber's mission is to drive economic growth by strengthening Hispanic business in Central Florida. We congratulate Latina Style for putting together this exciting business conference, and we appreciate participating today. On behalf of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, thank you again, and congratulations to all the remarkable women and men engaging today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Belinda. Thank you for joining us. So now I would like to introduce you to, or present you to, Ms. Gloria Esteban. Gloria is the Corporate Relations Director with Prospanica in Orlando. Welcome, Gloria.
Hey, buenos dias and good morning, everyone. On behalf of Prospanica Orlando chapter, we are excited about the partnership with the Latina Business Series, and we'd like to welcome our Prospanica members and also all attendees.
Thank you so much. Now, let's move on to Julio Fuentes, the President of the Florida State Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Robert, and welcome everyone, although virtually, to Florida, Orlando, Florida, the great city of Orlando, and all the participants that are attending here today. Although we are living a kind of unnormal life right now, I am pleased to report that the Latina entrepreneurial spirit is alive and definitely vibrant. We are getting calls constantly from plenty of Latinas who are looking to start a new business, kind of reinventing themselves during these times. So again, although we are living these unhealthy kind of environment that we are in right now, again, the Latina entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well, and look forward to the future, and wish everyone a successful conference, and look forward to seeing everyone hopefully next year in person. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Julio. Now it is my pleasure to introduce you to a very good friend of ours and a long time partner from down the street or down the road, Miss Lilian Lopez, President and CEO of the South Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Hola, Lilian, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, Robert. What a pleasure to be here with you and gosh, Ramiro, Julio. My regards to Gabi Otigani, all of you. I mean, the work that you do is amazing. And I want to congratulate you, Robert, because you are a leader in helping Hispanic women. Like some people say Latina, I say Hispanic women. And that's something that I take very true to my heart, because you're always there for women. And I think that's something great. And it speaks highly of you. And you know, I talk a lot, so I just want to briefly say that although we're not together in person, this pandemic has done something positive. You know, the positives to this pandemic, even though we know it's horrible, is that we are more united than ever. And I see that in our Hispanic Chamber, and I see that across the United States with our friends at the national level, that we're closer, we work harder, our ties are strengthening, and I'm very, very, very happy that we're able to work virtually, which is strange because for Hispanic people, you know, we like to hug, we like to kiss, we like to just be around each other. But the fact that we are able to just be like more caring and more engaged, and that just makes a big difference. So that's just the good side of the pandemic. Of course, it's horrible. But anyway, I know this is 30 seconds. I'm already at 60 seconds, but I did want to say that. I want to congratulate you, and my hellos to Ramiro Cavazos and all the wonderful team that you have today in this wonderful conference. And thank you for the opportunity for being
Gracias,
here.
Lilian, and thank you so much for the wonderful work that you do.
Un placer siempre, Robert. Gracias por la oportunidad.
And now let's bring Migdalia Figueroa, the President and General Manager of Telemundo Orlando. Telemundo is an organization that has been a partner of Latina Style for many, many years. We travel all over. Well, you don't travel, we travel. You are all over the nation. So thank you so much for your partnership. Thank you so much for all the work that you do in informing our community and taking care of that, making sure that we're always informed with the best information available.
Well, thank you. Good morning. Happy Friday. I cannot think of a better way to begin my Friday, to begin my weekend, and to finish this challenging 2020 than participating in an event like this, empowering Latina women. This is a big deal for me. It is close to my heart. But on behalf of Telemundo 31, Telemundo as a network, and NBC Universal, thank you and welcome to all the participants. Remember, this is a challenging year, but on the other side, this country will need our worth, and we are worthy, and we know it, and we will have a great 2021. So thank you. And I'm sticking around because the agenda looks amazing. So I'm sticking around for a while because I do want to learn all the things that you have to show here today. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Migdalia, y gracias por tu apoyo y por el apoyo que nos da toda la red. So thank you to all our Orlando partners. Of course, without you for the last 22 years, we would not have been able to do the business series, not only in Orlando, but as we do it all over the country. Orlando is city 141 with the series. So on we go. And now the company that makes everything possible for us is, of course, our very, very dear partner, Nationwide. And to give us a words of welcome by Nationwide, it's my pleasure to introduce Jenny Davila Jalomo, Associate Vice President, Personal Line Servicing for Nationwide. Jenny?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. On behalf of Nationwide, thank you for joining us for the fourth and final virtual stop of the 2020 Latina Style Business Series. I'm excited to be with you. We are extremely honored to be here with you today and to support Latina entrepreneurs in Orlando and across the country. Before I go any further, though, I want to extend our gratitude to Robert, Lupita, Tanya, Deanne, and the rest of the Latina Style familia. Nationwide truly appreciates how the team pulled together to make the necessary pivot to keep this important event on the calendar and bring us together virtually to talk about the very timely topic of doing business in the times of crisis. Today, we acknowledge that 2020 has been a very hard year. It has been particularly hard for our Hispanic community and for all communities of color. But we are here today together and to work and network and to be intentional about the way we respond to what is happening. For nearly 100 years, Nationwide has been committed to protecting what matters most to people through our insurance and financial services products. Like many of the companies represented here today, Nationwide began as a small business founded by a company of entrepreneurs and has grown to be a Fortune 100 company. We also recognize that small businesses are the lifeline of the U.S. economy and that Latina entrepreneurs continue to open more businesses than any other segment. During the Big Legacies Extraordinary Sessions, we're excited to hear from Cindy Pedraza as she shares the story of building their chocolatier business with her mother and leaving a legacy. I would encourage you to soak up all the knowledge and the energy you will receive today. Then make a deliberate plan that will enable your business not only to survive, but to thrive. Last but not least, we'll be giving away 2 gift boxes filled with tasty treats from one of our partners, Coco Andre, a chocolatier located in Dallas. Make sure to stay until the end of so that you can be included in the drawing. Now, please enjoy this Nationwide video and remember that Nationwide is on your side.
Hi, I'm Carlos Gill, author and entrepreneur. This is Nick Delgado, president of Black Pen Whiteboard.
I'm Carla Sandoval, entrepreneur coach. Start to identify what stage of business are you in.
Once you find your edge, embrace it, invest in it, and leverage it as you compete in the market against others.
Well, thank you so much for that warm introduction. I cannot say enough about Nationwide, the great partner that we've had for the last 8 years. It is my pleasure now to introduce a welcome video from Mayor Dyer, Patty Dyer. The mayor has been a great supporter. You know, the mayor actually got into power, not into power, but his first term in 2003, and he's been re-elected unanimously, it seems like, every election. So, you know, he just was re-elected again. So he's been a great partner. He's been a great man, working very, very hard for the city during very, very difficult time. So welcome, Mayor Dyer.
Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer. I want to congratulate Latina Style for hosting this virtual conference and helping empower female entrepreneurs with resources and tools to establish or expand their businesses. Orlando has a long history of female Hispanic leaders who have greatly enhanced our city and played a key role in shaping our community. As a city, we must work together to continue fostering an environment that advances opportunities for women to pursue their dreams, and this conference helps our diverse and inclusive community to achieve that goal. I hope you have a wonderful virtual conference.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mayor Dyer. We will be able, of course, when we return next year in person to Orlando, we will be able to make sure that we get all the hugs and kisses that we're banking today. And now, you know, truly the leadership of the Latina Style Business Series, like I said, 141 conferences across the country since 1998. And this could not be done without the partnership and the support of some very, very special people across the country. And we're delighted that in Orlando, we've had a champion for many years, and she continues to be a champion. Now in the private sector, we have our very, very good friend, Lourdes Mola, president and founder of Lourdes Mola Solutions, and Karen Vergara, fiduciary financial advisor for all Gen Financial Advisors. So we're delighted to be with you, and thank you so much, Lourdes, for being with us. Lourdes, take it on.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Latina Style. Thank you, Nationwide, for putting this together. They're definitely on our side, and all the panelists and you know, everyone that's joining us today. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm happy that we finally were able to do this. We were planning to do this in May. As Robert said, I had the privilege of chairing this event once before, when I was with Disney. And, you know, it's just the energy that you feel when you have a lot of Latinas in the room. It's fantastic, contagious, and very exciting. So like Robert said, I'm Lourdes Mola. I am the founder and CEO for Lourdes Mola Solutions. After 20 years in corporate America, I decided I got the bug, the entrepreneur bug. And I work with small companies and large companies, growing their footprint in Central Florida and helping them however I can by fueling their business. You know, I don't consider myself a PR agency or a brand agency. To me, every business is individual, and it's how I can use my resources, my toolkit to help them grow. So that's the business that I'm in. I love to see these events that, you know, just in themselves help women all over the world. I'm so proud of the work that Robert and Lupita and Latina Style has been doing and will continue to do for our community. And I'm just grateful to be here. I encourage all of you to be present. Take all the information in. It's going to be fantastic. Enjoy the sessions, and then I'll be back soon with my partner in crime, Karen, which I'm so grateful that she's doing this with me. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lourdes. I'd like to also welcome you to the Latina Style Business Series Orlando Conference. When Lourdes asked me at the beginning of this year to join her as co-chair for the event, we were planning for an in-person program. But rather than canceling, Latina Style, our sponsors, and the team in charge of putting the conference together decided to pivot and offer a virtual experience full of important information for a Latina business community. That's the spirit of the Latino community, a spirit of resilience despite the difficulties in front of us. As an immigrant to this country, I know firsthand the struggles that we have adapting to a new system and a new way of doing business. However, it is the spirit of resilience that allows us to look beyond the challenges and brings out the best in us. 2020 has challenged us both personally and professionally, but in turn, it has given us the opportunity to show the rest of the country the admirable qualities that make our community so valuable. I am so grateful for the opportunity to share the virtual stage with Lourdes as co-chair of this event, and I'm also grateful you have decided to join us. The information we will share today is meant to help you maneuver the effects of the pandemic in your personal and professional lives. But more importantly, it is meant to encourage and inspire you. As you join our different sessions, please take a moment to notice the Latina women who make up our panels and other sessions. They are leaders in their industries who are here today to share their knowledge with you. I hope that after today's conference, you will feel empowered and inspired to continue moving forward. Lo mejor está por venir. And now please enjoy a video from the Orlando Convention Bureau. that video just reminded me of how lucky we are to live in Orlando. And now, to get us focused and in the mood for this wonderful day, please enjoy a 3-minute video meditation sponsored by Nationwide, and give a warm welcome to Nick Delgado, president of Black Pen Whiteboard.
Good morning, Orlando from LA. You know, over the last few years, I've become very curious about how our mind works, specifically how we focus. And interestingly, in this world, at this time, our focus is challenged. In fact, I would go so far as to say that being distracted is one of the greatest risks to your business. That being distracted and having too many things on your plate and on your mind prevents you from achieving all the business success that you're capable of. So what I want to do now is take a very brief moment to guide you through a tool. This is a tool that's been used for thousands of years called mindfulness meditation. You know, one of the foundational elements of a mindfulness meditation practice is to learn how to place our attention and pair that with an open and unbiased awareness of whatever arises. Now, this practice can be game-changing in business because over time, it can help us develop clarity, resilience, and stability. Let me give you an overview of the structure of a mindfulness meditation, and then I'll guide you through a very brief session. The mechanics of this mindfulness practice are basic and very approachable. There are only 3 steps. Take your seat, place your attention on your breath, and when you notice your mind wandering, label it thinking and return your attention to your breath. So here, let's give it a try. I ask that you participate because being mindful is not an idea, it's a muscle. So please follow along as I guide you deeper into each of the 3 steps in a very brief 30-second mindfulness moment. Step 1, take your seat. Let your sit bones firmly connect to your chair cushion. Place your feet flat on the ground. Your back is strong, supporting your upright nature. Your front is soft. Your chest is free of any tension. Shrug your shoulders up and let your arms hang down naturally. And place your hands palms down on your thighs. Your head is straight and your chin is horizontal. And your eyes are open with a soft gaze 4 to 6 feet in front of you. This is step 1, take your seat. Step 2, place your attention on your breath. Focus on the flow of breath from the tip of your nose. Feel the full cycle throughout your body. Let the air move through you naturally without any judgment or manipulation. This is step 2, place your attention on your breath. And finally, when you notice your mind wandering, label it thinking and return your attention to your breath. You know, in doing so, say thinking nicely as you would to a small child, because these are your thoughts. So notice them and be gentle and give them all the same name, thinking, and then come back. Come back to the tip of your nose, come back to returning your attention to your breath. This is step 3. When you notice your mind wandering, label it thinking and return your attention to your breath. We'll start now, and in 30 seconds, you'll hear a bell to indicate the end of the moment. Welcome back. Thank you for that moment, and please take it as a gift that you can use at any point in your day to help you achieve the clarity you deserve in your life. Thank you.
So now, thank you so much for the meditation exercise. That was very helpful. So now we would love for you to join us with the Financial Survival Guide, which will be moderated by my co-chair, Karen Vergara, and just a fantastic panel. So enjoy it and take it all in. There's so much great conversation here.
Good morning again, everyone. I would like to welcome you to our first session of the day and introduce our panelists. Please welcome Victoria Guerrero, District Director for the Small Business Administration in South Florida, Maritza Rabinowitz, Stakeholder Liaison for the IRS, Joanne Madeiros, Manager for MBAF, Patty Juarez, National Diverse Segments Director for Wells Fargo, and Nick Delgado, President of Black Pen White Board. We have a very diverse panel today, and just as the title says, our conversation is going to revolve around COVID-19 and the impact it's had in our small business community. But more importantly, today, I'd like us to focus on highlighting the resources available to you, as well as the lessons learned, which you can then take back to your enterprises so you can feel prepared to continue handling this current situation. I like to start with the PPP and loan forgiveness process. This program has had a lot of changes in the past few months, and it just feels like every day things are changing. So let's start with Victoria. Victoria, can you please offer some guidance around PPP and loan forgiveness?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with Latina Style. I wanted to say good morning to all you beautiful ladies. And let's talk a little bit about PPP. As many are aware, the PPP right now, we're in the process of the forgiveness cycle. If you did receive any PPP funds, you are able to go ahead and start your forgiveness application with the lender that you use to receive your funds. Something to think about, if you receive less than $50,000 in PPP funding, you are able to just fill out, it's a one-page form. It's really 2 pages. The second page is just a signature page, but a one-page form attesting that you used the funds the correct way. You don't need to do any backup documents. No financials are required. It's a very, very simple form. So if you received less than $50,000 in PPP funding, you can utilize that form and submit it to your lender for forgiveness. Many lenders are utilizing and putting these forms up on their website. So my first suggestion is to go to your lender's website. You can type in, let's say, Bank of America PPP forgiveness on Google, and it'll take you to their website, and they will have the application there for you. If you received more than $50,000 in PPP funding, there's another application, which is the EASY form. It's a little bit more information that you'll need to provide, maybe backup documents, but it's really 2 pages long as well. So it's also, hence the name EASY. So all of these forms should be on your lender's website. If it's not, you can go to our website at sba.gov/disaster, and you will look under funding programs and look for forgiveness. I'll put the link on the chat in a second so everyone can have it. But my first recommendation is go to your lender and check their website, and you can start applying already.
Wonderful. That is such great advice. Let's talk to Joanne, because I like to just kind of get the CPA perspective on this. So Joanne, could you elaborate on what small business owners should be aware of regarding the PPP loan forgiveness, and especially regarding the latest regulation update that relates to the deductibility of expenses paid through the PPP loan? Oh, Joanne, I believe you're muted.
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So in November, the IRS and Treasury released a ruling and a procedure which offers guidance on the deductibility of the PPP loan business expenses. So the ruling states that if the taxpayer reasonably expects to have their loan forgiven, then their business expenses are not deductible for tax purposes. So this is important to note that this applies whether or not the taxpayer has applied for forgiveness at the end of 2020. The procedure provides a safe harbor for taxpayers who have been either partially or fully denied. In these situations, the taxpayer can deduct some or all of the expenses on a 2020 tax return, an amended return, or just file a timely return in a subsequent year. And although it hasn't been formally addressed, it's important that the taxpayer works with their CPA to identify which of these business expenses were paid with funds that have been forgiven versus funds that will be repaid. And this is important because of other tax implications. For example, there's a business interest expense limitation, and then there's also the deductible salary expense that's taken into account when calculating the qualified business income deduction. The guidance has also not addressed how the income replacement of the self-employed who reports on Schedule C and 1040, or for members and partners who receive a K-1.
That's great. And I think what you mentioned there is so important. What we need to do as business owners is that you must go to your CPA or tax preparer and have a conversation. Don't wait until after December 31st to do that. It's very important that you take this moment and be proactive through the end of December to make sure that you go talk to your CPA, tax preparer, and do some tax planning. Patty, I'd like to ask you from the lender's perspective, what are some of the things that you wish small business owners knew regarding the process of loan forgiveness for the PPP?
Thank you so much, Karen. And it's just a pleasure to be here again with Robert and Lupita in the Latina Business Series. I think, from a lender's perspective is just to have businesses have their ducks in a row, right? Have all the documentation that's necessary, as Victoria mentioned earlier, having the paperwork ready. Yet if the loan was under 50,000, which for us at Wells Fargo, as one of the top lenders in the group, our average size loan was about 54,000. So the great majority of our borrowers are going to be able to do the quick application, which is available for them. But regardless of which way you're applying for the forgiveness, you're still going to have to, you're going to need some information, obviously, that verifies the expenses that you made, how you utilize the funding, so that you can be properly qualified for 100% forgiveness.
Yeah, so it sounds like it needs to be getting your ducks in a row, getting organized, and at the same time, go talk to your CPA, tax preparer, to make sure that you're doing all the right things you need to do to fill out the correct forms. So let's now talk about Uncle Sam. And whether we're in a pandemic or not, Uncle Sam is always, one of our partners in the business, right? We have to give, we have to pay our taxes. So let's talk to Maritza. Maritza, it's my understanding that there are some tax credits available to small business owners that can help them, but they're also expiring soon. So could you please provide some more information about what those are and what business owners need to do to take advantage of those tax credits?
Sure, Karen, and thank you very much again for this invitation, and great to be with my panelists. Yes, this year, as we know, many have been hearing about the federal government had enacted a series of new tax laws to provide tax relief assistance to the business impacted by the coronavirus. Now, some of these reliefs allow for dollar-for-dollar tax offset against the payroll taxes to help pay for the employee's sick and family leave. And other relief has really been designed to keep employees on the payroll. So just briefly, I'm going to touch upon some of them. Under the sick leave and the family leave, there were 3 provisions under that. Number 1 was the credit for the sick and family leave. That particular one was allowing employees who were unable to work because of coronavirus to receive paid sick leave for up to 10 days, a maximum of 80 hours. Then we had the second one was caring for someone with coronavirus. Now, this provision allowed the employees who were unable to work due to caring for someone with coronavirus also to receive the paid sick leave for up to 2 weeks. And then we have the care for children due to daycare of school closure. We know that was an issue with many individuals who had children. So this allowed an employee who was unable to work because of the need to care for a child whose schools or place of care is closed, also to receive paid and family sick leave. Now, on all of these provisions, these employers would be able to receive a credit in the full amount for the cost of providing coronavirus leave to their employees. Now, as you mentioned, this is one of the provisions that expires December 31st. So the period for this particular one, these provisions were between April 1st, 2020 through the 31st of 2020. Now, there's one more provision that maybe some of you heard of. It was a new credit, and this one was the employee retention credit. Now here, the eligible employees are those businesses with operation that have been partially or fully suspended due to government orders due to COVID-19. And we know that that was happening in many different places. And also for businesses whose gross receipts had declined significantly compared to 2019. For that particular provision, the refundable tax credit is equal to 50% of up to $10,000 in qualifying wages. So this now, these also, the timing for this was March 12 of 2020 through December 31st, 2020. So this again is another provision that would expires. And these employers can reduce the federal employment tax deposit in anticipation of the credits or even request an advance. And the previous one that I indicated, the sick and family leave, is also available for the self-employed individual, and they offset, the credit is offset against the estimated payments. Now, what I suggest for individuals that really would like to know more about this, or even would like to know whether if their business, if they again, this expired December 12, and on irs.gov in our website, we created a great tool, and it's to assist the businesses in determining if they qualify for any of these credits. And it's called COVID-19 Business Tax Relief Tool. So if you just type in the search box, Business Tax Relief Tool, you could get to that application and you just enter information based on the question, and that will assist you in letting you know whether you qualify or what information is important for you to know.
That's great, Maritza. Thank you so much. And I think, you know, what we could tell is that a business owner could go on the website, check if any of those credits apply to them. And if that's the case, then again, go back to their CPA tax preparer and have a conversation with them about how to actually apply them correctly. I like to talk to Joanne again to just understand, do you believe, Joanne, that there are any tax planning strategies that can be implemented before the end of the year for small business owners and or individuals that may not even be related to COVID-19 right now?
Yes, and with only a month left, it's important to contact your CPA right away. So apart from the normal year-end tax planning, it's very important to reiterate that it needs to take into account the implications of the CARES Act and also Biden's proposed tax plan. So for businesses, we usually take into account strategies for cash basis businesses, whether they want to accelerate or defer income. And there's various ways to do this. You can either increase your efforts of collecting receivables or decide to pay any payables or bonuses before the year ends. Also, when it comes to fixed assets, did you have any recent purchases? It's worth to determine whether you think it's beneficial to put them into service before the year ends or wait till next year, since most business depreciable assets do qualify for 100% depreciation deduction in the first year. Also, review your fixed asset detail. Under the CARES Act, there was a correctional guidance on qualified improvement property, which is any interior non-structural improvements to non-residential property. Before the CARES Act correction, it was a 39-year recovery period. It has now been updated to a 15-year recovery period, and it also is eligible for the 100% depreciation deduction. And then also there's the credits that Maritza mentioned, the employee retention. There's also the payroll tax deferral for employers, which in order to qualify, they would need to pay 50% before the December 31st, 2021, and then defer the other 50% to December 31st, 2022. On an individual level, now is the time to do some estate planning, since Biden does plan to decrease the exemption and to do away with the step-up basis of inherited assets. You still have time to make any gift if by the end of the year. The exemption right now is $11,580,000.
That's great. Oh, go ahead, Joanne.
Just a few quick points. You can also max out your 401k, which would decrease your taxable wages. Under the CARES Act, also, they changed how charitable contributions are deducted. So before, you could only deduct charitable contributions if you itemized. But now, even if you don't itemize, you're allowed up to $300,000. If you do itemize, you can take up to 100% of your adjusted gross income. Also consider the NOL carrybacks. So now with the CARES Act modification, you're allowed to offset prior taxable income for 5 years. So that's something else also to consider. And then also get with your CPA, just because of the changes with the deductibility of the PPP business expenses, your taxable income might be higher than what you originally expected. MBAF does have a webinar next week, December 10th at 11 a.m. It's free and you can actually sign up on our website. It's mbafcpa.com, and they'll go more into depth, not only on the PPP guidance updates, but on year-end tax planning for businesses and individuals.
That's great. So much. Thank you so much, Joanne. And I think, you know, when you're talking about all these different credits and all these different deductions that entrepreneurs can take and individuals, it can feel overwhelming, and it can feel like I don't even know where to begin. So the goal for today really is to make you aware that there are resources and opportunities and credits available to you, that you don't necessarily have to know all the details about them, but it is important that you go and you come and you have a team on your side that includes a good CPA, a good tax preparer, that will sit down with you and determine what are the things that apply to you and what are the things that don't apply. Let's talk now I'd like to talk to Nick, because with everything that's been going on this year, business have had to change. Business is not what it used to be back in 2019. So Nick, what can entrepreneurs learn from what private equity investors are doing during this pandemic?
Yeah, Karen, it's a great question. And as you know, private equity investors, what they invest in are small businesses, just like the businesses at today's conference. And so one of the things that private equity groups are doing is very similar to the businesses at today's conference, which is intensely focusing on cash right now. And specifically, they're looking at the operating and cash conversion cycle. So when you think about that, it's really about how many days do I have my own money out before I get paid? And as you know, Karen, this is totally different than looking at my profit and loss. This is totally different than daily checking my bank statement, right? So this cash conversion cycle is really important. And I heard earlier today that there's some chocolates floating around. So let's use a chocolate company as a quick example here on this concept of the cash conversion cycle. If we're running a chocolate business, Karen, the first thing we have to do is probably invest in some of those goods to make the chocolate. I have to buy the chocolate, I have to buy the oils, I have to buy all the great flavors. And so I'm out that money before I can post them on the website, right? And so there's a period of time there. It could be 7 to 14 days. And then let's imagine for a moment that we sell our chocolates not only direct to consumer, but we also sell them to large companies. So say we sell them to Macy's, and Macy's doesn't pay when they receive them. Macy's has terms. So Macy's pays us 30 days after they receive them. So if you think about that, it takes me 2 weeks in which I have to make the goods and I'm out that cash. And then I get them over to Macy's, and Macy's takes 30 days to pay me. So there you have 44 days in which theoretically you are out cash. Now, ultimately that shows up on your profit and loss statement, as revenue and cost of goods sold. But what's really important, especially in an environment like this, is thinking about how many days is your cash out. And so some of the things you can do about it is, one, you can shorten up those receivables. So for those of you that extend terms to your clients, you're effectively playing banker. Think about, are there ways to shorten the terms up? Can you go from a net 45 to a 30, or from a 30 to a 15? And then the other side of that is thinking about, whom do you owe money to? And is there a way to extend the payable, right? And so in an ideal world, what we're doing is we're trying to optimize that cash conversion cycle.
Yeah, more than ever, I think that cash is king. This year, that's one of the things that it has taught us, that cash is definitely king. Joanne, just like Nick, would you say, what are some of the things that your clients, or some lessons that they've learned in the past, and especially being more applied to this year, that your clients perhaps are thinking about? You're muted, Joanne.
So as Nick mentioned, cash flow. So it's important to have a few weeks of cash flow. It's important to know, I mean, if possible on a daily basis, where you are with the cash flows, the in and outs of the company, to have a disaster plan. And then I've heard a lot from clients that it's just important to be flexible, to make adjustments. You know, technology has been our ally through this pandemic, and everybody has had to adjust, different types of businesses. So for example, you know, restaurants are, you know, allowing having takeout, retailers are having curbside pickup. See where you can, since most of the office businesses have shifted to working from home, where can you save on overhead expenses? And then also something that we focused on in MBAF is client loyalty. So there's so much information out there, and it's just overwhelming, and it's impossible to read through everything that's being delivered. So it's important to just call up your clients, see how they're doing, see how you can help, so that you stand out, and then you're one of the businesses that, even though they're going through hard times, they're going to stick with you as you will be sticking with them.
Great, that's really great advice, Joanne. So you mentioned the word disaster preparedness plan, and I think a lot of business owners don't think about that. When you're a business owner, you're running around day to day trying to, it seems like you're putting down fires every single day. But it's so important to take a moment to step back and think of what could happen if. And that's what a disaster preparedness plan is. So I'd like to talk to Maritza. Maritza, could you please discuss the importance for businesses to have a disaster preparedness plan?
Sure, and just as I described some information that I would like to share, loyalty comes to my mind in an example that what Joanne just mentioned. Disaster preparedness, sometimes we think about disaster as just hurricanes, especially here in Florida, hurricanes, tornadoes, and you name it. But as you could see, a pandemic, what's been happening with this virus, this is a disaster too. So it's extremely important for business to have a business a preparedness plan. Many business, due to the impact sometimes on different disasters, never reopen. And sometimes it's because they maybe did not have a plan in place. Now, one plan that I think is extremely one thing that I think has been very important, especially for the business who has materials or suppliers that depend on suppliers. What we've been seeing is a lot of shortage in many different types of supplies. So in addition of having a regular disaster preparedness plan for the norm, for hurricanes, securing your data, just in case a disaster happens, a hurricane, but think about building relationship with supplier, with distributors. Why? As Joanne was talking about loyalty, in cases where there's a shortage, think about building those relationships outside of your area, of your common area. Think about another state. If the state of Florida is closed for business, the different suppliers are being affected themselves with the personnel, you might have a relationship in another state that might save your business because now you could get a supply. Just very briefly, recently I did my roof and the individual indicated, hey, Maritza, we are short. We are having issues, so I'm not sure when, but I'm going to touch base with another supplier in Tallahassee and see if I could get your shingles. He did, and he said that my material was the last material that suppliers had, and I had to stay with that a week before he could put it in place. But I was happy as a customer because I knew he had built relationship outside our area and he was supplying for me. So that's why I think for all of the business owner who depend on material, on supplier, build relationship outside of your common area. So you have these individuals because as Joanne says, loyalty, when you need this information or materials, you could call them. Because trust me, when everyone is seeking for materials, it's very hard to have a new person just asking about supplies. So in irs.gov, there's an excellent plan for business. Look and review it because really you need to have that in place for your business. It's financially a strategy for your business to have one. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a smart thing to do for sure, because it's important for us to think ahead, and nobody likes to think of worst case scenario, but it's part of life. This year is the pandemic. Last year or a couple of years ago was a hurricane. So disaster is going to happen. Bad things may happen, but the businesses that have been planning, that are prepared, are the ones that are going to be able to stay in business. Let's talk to Victoria, because I know that the SBA has some great resources for small business owners to help them prepare for a disaster. Victoria, could you share what some of those resources are?
Absolutely. Our office has a webinar on disaster planning and hurricane preparedness, since we live in Florida, and that's usually, as Maritza mentioned, the type of disasters we have. But the pandemic is a disaster. If you have a local fire, it's a disaster. Mudslides are disasters, so we have a lot of disaster programs throughout the nation for those that are impacted. Now, in regards to preparedness, we have a YouTube channel and where our webinar is posted, and it talks about different things you can do to prepare yourself and create that preparedness plan ahead of time, because that's what's going to get you through a pandemic. That's what's going to get you through a hurricane, is if you prepare ahead of time. And there's different sites that are mentioned. So for example, ready.gov, ready.gov. If you go to that website, it has different templates that you can fill out. You can download and you fill it out, and it talks about creating a communication plan, a backup plan in case your power goes out. It gives you step-by-step indications. It's in English and it's in Spanish. And then you can download it, create it, work with your team, share it with your team, make sure everybody knows what their roles and responsibilities are if a disaster does hit. So I highly recommend folks to go to that website, also to take a look at our webinar, which is on our YouTube channel. I will be posting that on the chat for you. And the other one is ready.gov. So those are the resources we have. If you go to sba.gov/disaster, you can also see all the other programs that we have. Once a disaster hits, SBA is always out there with FEMA, working hand in hand to try to help our small business owners. And I also want everyone to know that when it comes to disaster, we can also help homeowners and renters. Many people do not know that. So SBA, primarily we help small businesses, but we can also help homeowners and renters who have been impacted by a disaster. So just something to keep in mind.
That's very great to know. And right now, since it's December, sometimes it depends on what business you're in, but it might be a quiet time for you. So this might be the perfect time for you to sit down with your team, go through those resources and create a plan, because again, it might be a hurricane, hopefully not, it might be something else. It just, that's life. So Victoria, other than the resources that you just shared, are there any other type of resources that the SBA can offer to small business owners?
Absolutely. We offer a slew of different programs, anywhere from access to capital. So if you need funding to start your business, grow your business, hire people, buy equipment, we can help you find the best loan for you. So we have an entire series of programs for folks that are looking for funding. We also have our coaching arm through our resource partners, the SBDC, which is Small Business Development Centers, and our SCORE chapters and the Women Business Centers. We have them all across the nation. They will offer you free coaching, one-on-one coaching from people that are consultants. They've been in the industry. All you need to do is reach out to them and make an appointment. They can help you with strategy, with your financials, with your recruitment, and anything that's business related. They're a wonderful resource to have. And we also have our federal contracting program. So for those of you who are interested in selling your services or your products to the federal government, which is the #1 purchaser across the nation of goods, we have a program where you can be certified as a small business minority owner. And it's a 9-year program where we pair you up with a business coach, and they will walk you through the process on how to look for the bids and put the bids in with the government and compete. We also have a bunch of different certifications, so we can certify you as a women-owned business, as a minority-owned business, as an economic disadvantaged business, if you're a veteran, as a veteran business. And the more certifications you get, the better chances are for you to get those government contracting to sell your goods and services to the government. One contract can be up to $4 million. So it's a good way to grow your business within those 9 years that you're going to be selling your goods and services to the federal government. So that's a little bit of all of the different programs we have. Karen, just wanted to let you know, and for your viewers, we on our website, we also have on our YouTube channel, we also have webinars that talk about an overview of all of our programs. And then we have different webinars that go deeper into each of the programs. So you guys can decide which programs interest you more, and it goes deeper. We will also be doing all of these programs in Spanish within the next few weeks. So if you guys want to take a look and join, I'll put the link there to our calendar of events, and you can just join at no cost, of course.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Victoria. And I want to kind of do a plug for the National Entrepreneur Center. If you're a small business owner and you've never been to the National Entrepreneur Center, which is at the Orlando Fashion Square Mall here in Orlando, that is a great resource for you, because a lot of these different agencies or offices are housed there, including the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, including Prospera, including SBDC. So you can go to one single place and actually get to talk to people that can help you. Some of these offices are not open right now, so just look on the website, the National Entrepreneur Center, and you should be able to find more information about which agencies are open. The ones that are not open, they're still offering virtual services. So let's talk to Nick again, because I want to just ask you, Nick, what is one thing you would recommend that businesses can do to help them pivot successfully during this time?
Yeah, it's a good question, Karen, because a lot of people are talking about pivoting, right? Pivot is a common business term these days. And while it's common, it's still hard, right? And so when you think about pivoting, you're really having this conversation because something hasn't gone as planned. And what I've seen working across hundreds of businesses is that it generally comes down to 3 things. You don't have enough revenue, you have too many expenses, or you don't have enough working capital. So what I want to do is encourage folks to lean into pricing when pivoting. So a lot of businesses have actually priced their products and services too low, and that creates profitability issues. Right. And so when you think about increasing your price, you increase your gross margins, and that just gives you a lot more operating breathing room. And so having thought about this quite a bit and worked with others on it, I know that there may be some folks at today's conference that may be reluctant to increase their prices. I've heard this over and over again, like, I can't increase my price because of competitive pressures. And so this is what I would say. If you feel that way, I would challenge you to sharpen your competitive advantage, because if you're feeling like you can't increase your prices because of the market, you're running the risk of being in a commoditized fight, and you don't want that. So if you don't have pricing power, as we go into the holidays, take this time to really revisit your competitive advantage so that you can earn a higher price. The bottom line is here with pivoting, higher prices can help you successfully pivot.
That's very, very good advice, Nick. Thank you so much. We are about to go into Q&A. We still have a couple of questions that I want to ask the panelists, but for any of you who are attending, please go ahead and then start asking your questions through the Q&A. We're going to have a few minutes to answer some of your questions. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit more about resources available. So Patty, what initiatives has Wells Fargo created to address the specific needs of women-owned businesses that could help them?
Thank you, Karen. Well, Wells Fargo, we funded almost 200,000 PPP loans, and as I said, our average loan amount was $54,000, but 61% of our loans were actually under 25, and we really focused on serving the communities hardest hit by the current environment in terms of access to PPP loans. 41% of the loans funded were actually to business in low to moderate income areas. And as part of our company's efforts to drive economic stability in these communities that need it the most, we donated the fees that we obtained from the PPP loans from the SBA, about $400 million in processing fees. And we created an Open for Business fund that is generating avenues of recovery for women-owned businesses, for small businesses, particularly Black African-American businesses and Hispanic business and other groups that have been hard hit by COVID-19. The Open for Business Fund offers capital, training, and long-term recovery support to nonprofits who serve businesses and build thousands of support opportunities for business owners. And Wells Fargo is prioritizing funding these nonprofits serving these minority and women-owned businesses. Because those businesses have told us that over half of those businesses are reporting a loss of 50% of their business or more. And that 52% of minority-owned businesses say that it will take them up to a year or more to recover from COVID-19. So as a partner to the communities we serve, we try to really assist these hard-hit businesses in getting back on their feet and really getting them on the path, whatever pivot they have to make, whatever adjustments they have to make, supporting them through that and getting them on a path back to success, because we really want our Latina-owned businesses and all our minority-owned businesses to really thrive.
That's great, Patty. Thank you for sharing that. We're about to go into Q&A in a second, but I wanted to ask Nick one just last question. Do you have any last words of wisdom for small business owners during this time before we go into the Q&A part of the session?
Hey, Karen, let me just throw a crazy idea out there, right? Because we're talking a lot about PPP, pivoting, a lot of defense, right? And let me put one offense idea out there around growth, and that's growth via acquisitions. And let me just give you the quick math around this. You can acquire a company with our friends from the SBA. They back banks through the 7A program. You can acquire a company for as little as 10% down of the acquisition price. So here's the quick math, Karen. Let's think about buying a business that generates $100,000 of profit or EBITDA. So you have a target company that generates 100 grand. You can buy that company for $300,000. That's a 3 times multiple, by the way, right? So I get to buy $100,000 of cash flow for $300,000. So how do I pay for that? Well, through the SBA 7A program and great lenders, you put $30,000 down over a 10-year duration. That comes out to be $36,000 a year in debt service at a 6% rate, which is where rates are at right now. So for $36,000 per year, you're acquiring additional capacity so that you can feed that competitive advantage. And by the way, how do I pay for the $36,000 a year? Well, the company you just bought kicks off $100,000. Right? So you could do the math and you can see that there's even a couple bucks left over after you pay for the debt service, after you pay Uncle Sam, you actually can realize economic benefits in as soon as year one. So I would challenge all of our friends to think about playing offense, and one of the ways to do that is via acquisitions.
Yeah, it sounds to me that when things like this, the pandemic, what it has shown us is that there are opportunities for those businesses that are prepared, that have had a plan, right? They've got emergency funds, emergency reserves, so their business is growing, they're going to start seeing some of their competitors start to say, you know what, we're going to either go out of business, but perhaps those are opportunities for you to go in there and actually, like you said, acquire them and grow your business even more. So thank you so much, Nick. We want to go into the Q&A portion of the session now. And please, if you have not gotten a chance to just share some of your questions with us, please send them through and we'll try to start answering some of them. And before I do that, while I'm waiting to see some of these questions, Maritza, I understand that today marks the end of the National Tax Security Awareness Week. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, Karen. Yes, and it's a week that we remind not only individuals, but the business community. We remind them to be very aware of cybersecurity. With COVID-19, there's been a lot of also issues with scams. As we know, many times these individuals prey on when there's issues happening, disasters. But for the business community, especially that now we're working at home, make sure your systems are safe with firewalls. Not only that, sometimes we're doing business in public places. So it's very important that you keep aware of the information that you're entering, whether if it's on your mobile devices. But always also a security plan is very important. In irs.gov, we have a lot of information. If you could see on the bottom here, there's irs.gov/identity theft. We remind folks that there's scams taking place on the business community. One that comes to my mind is W-2s, individuals pretending to be executive of businesses and just calling an employee that they have information on, requesting W-2's information and just pretending to be maybe the CEO, just saying this, oh, I'm such and such individuals and we're doing an internal review and we need all the W-2 information of your personnel. Some business doesn't have a process in place for an employee maybe to second guess that email that is coming. And unfortunately, there's a lot of businesses that fall prey of these individuals and release a lot of information, W-2 personnel. It has happened to big business, small institutions, university. So again, these folks are very savvy. So it's not only about the business owner knowing about security, knowing about do not open a link, do not access. It is about educating your employees. The last thing you want is for an employee to be clicking on a link or to be releasing information. Unfortunately, companies learn the hard way when there's been a security breach and information has been shared. So please go to irs.gov and look at all the information we have to make sure your business is safe. Thank you, Karen.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Maritza. It's kind of scary to think that those are kind of the things that people do out there, but we just have to be prepared for those. We have one question from Betty Pacheco from New York, and she's asking, are there any grants and loan programs still available for Latinas? So perhaps, Victoria, do you have any resources in terms of grants or loan programs for Latinas?
Yes, well, the SBA, we typically do not do grants. The PPP was a forgivable loan, but we do have still, if you are struggling because of the pandemic, you can still apply until December 18th to our Economic Injury Disaster Loan, lovingly called our EIDL loan, EIDL. So you have until December 18th to apply. You go to sba.gov/disaster. It's a very quick application. And you can get up to $150,000 in funding. Now, this is a traditional loan that you do have to pay back. It's not forgivable. So the percentage is 3.75 interest rate for profit companies. Nonprofits is 2.75, and you have up to a 30-year term to pay the loan back. So depending on your credit and your financials, your payments might be very small. And this is something that you can utilize to help you get through the pandemic. So I would recommend, if you still need additional help for the pandemic, to apply for the EIDL loan. And as mentioned before, we have a slew of different loan programs to help you with any of your business needs. So the links have already been put in the chat, but I do want to let people know you have until December 18th to apply for that economic injury disaster loan program.
Great. So not much time left. Well, our time is up, but before we finish our session, our firm Allgen Financial would like to offer you the opportunity to join our free online course to help you build a strong personal financial foundation, because we understand that an entrepreneur's personal finances are directly tied to their business finances. And so that's why we're offering this course to those of you who are attending. We will be posting the link in the chat box for anyone that is interested. Thank you, Victoria, Maritza, Joanne, Patty, and Nick for participating in this very important conversation and for all the resources and great tips that you have offered us. And now it is my pleasure to introduce and welcome Maria Kesti, Community Specialist at Florida Blue, as she presents Managing Stress During COVID-19, Better You from Blue.
Good morning. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Maria.
Okay. This presentation will offer you practical tools for managing stress that go beyond traditional advice. You'll learn how effective thinking, mindfulness, and relaxation techniques can lower your stress level and increase your quality of life. What statement do you think you'd agree with?
I'm sorry, Maria. Excuse
Yes?
me. We cannot see your screen. Can you try sharing it, please?
Oh, it's not shared?
No.
Oh, here we go again. Okay, so where am I now?
You can click New Share at the bottom of your browser where it says the green arrow.
Share screen?
Correct.
How about now? Can you see it?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. How about now? Can you share? Can you see the screen?
We can
Beyond
see
the
your
stress
screen. Can
ball?
you try opening up your PowerPoint presentation?
It's open.
Yeah, you will have to go back to share screen and click New Share, and you should share
Okay.
what you see, the PowerPoint.
Okay, here we go again. Oh.
There we go. Thank you so much.
Okay, now you see it?
Yes.
Excuse me? Okay. So what is stress? What exactly is it? The definition of stress is a perceived threat, whether it's real or imagined, to our mind, body, spirit, or emotions. It's a very personal experience. Whether it's something that you perceive or it's real, it can create the same effect in your body. And there's two types of stress. The first one is acute, and it's usually something that's very intense and comes from an unexpected situation. An example would be a car accident, or it can be something like a noise that suddenly startles you, like a car honking in traffic. And when we experience a bout of acute stress, many things happen almost immediately to our body. Example, you come face to face with a bear in the woods. Your brain immediately launches into a flight or fight mode, which stimulates your nervous system, and it triggers the response hormone level, such as your heart might beat faster, you may start to sweat, and your blood pressure might increase. Then there's chronic stress. Chronic stress, which is not as intense as acute, might lead to something longer, but it could go on for days. And when we're under chronic stress, this is something that's rampant in our society right now, and in our lives, and it's harmful to our health and well-being. And then the chronic stress is a bigger risk factor for the heart disease and being completely sedentary. Again, this is how chronic stress can affect our body. And chronic stress is harmful. It's a bigger risk factor for heart disease than being completely sedentary. But our mindset on stress can be more harmful than the stress itself. You need to try to figure out and pinpoint what your stressors are. What causes you to become stressed? It's important to understand that stress comes from the outside and within, and to look at both places. So seeing stress is so harmful to your health, what can you do to reduce it? Stress will always be there and it will never go away. It's best not to waste your time and energy trying to change something that you can't control. Stress is unique to each individual. You just need to figure out what coping mechanism works best for you to be able to live a happy, healthy, and productive life. In the times that we're living in now, this slide is extremely important. You might be a business owner where you wake up in the middle of the night trying to figure out how are you going to be able to carry your village. Maybe you have children and you're teaching them during the day, so you're also a teacher. And then as Latinas, we're all used to being able to do anything and you don't even think of yourself and taking care of yourself, which is so important. COVID has added an extra layer of stress to all of our lives. And it's important to try to figure out techniques to try to manage this. And how can we reduce stress? Although there are many ways to reduce stress, we're going to be focusing on 4 items right now, which is cultivate effective thinking, practice mindfulness, use relaxation techniques, and mindset. The first component of reducing and managing stress is what we're going to refer to as TFAR. Your thoughts create your feelings, which in turn lead to actions and create results. So the best thing to do here is to focus on your thoughts. This is what determines how you will feel and what you'll do, how you're going to react. The attitude of gratitude, you're going to need to remind yourself regularly of the big and small things in your life that will make you feel good. Example, you can keep a gratitude journal where you write down things that you're thankful for. You could also get a jar and in little pieces of paper, you write things that you're grateful for. And then whenever you need a lift, you can take one of those little papers out and read them and see remind yourself what you're grateful for. You can also reframe the situation. You can reframe the situation so you can see it in a more positive light. What's the bigger picture here? What really is important? 5 years from now, will this situation that seems to be such a big deal to you right now really matter? What things do you say to yourself when you're in a stressful situation? What words, questions, or statements help you? An example on finding a fresh perspective is I can't control other people's behaviors, but I can control my own thoughts, my own feelings, and my reactors. How I react to the situation is what you have totally control of. Mindfulness. Mindfulness means to live in the present moment without judgment. Don't plan ahead. Just see what is happening right now and in this instance. With mindfulness, you observe, you pay attention, you're fully present, you focus, and you accept. In your daily life, you start small. You take one or two elements of your daily routine, and then you gradually transfer the habit to a bigger and more challenging aspect of your life. So you take a moment to relax. You can sit still and you practice breathing exercises. You can close your eyes, focus on relaxing your mind, take slow, deep breath, or you can listen to soothing music. You may try meditation. The object right now is to quiet your racing mind, which is very difficult to do, but you need to focus on the moment. And as you do that, you can see exactly how, when you relax and you have techniques, what it does to your body and the outcomes on the way that you feel, and you'll be a little bit calmer. So let's review. Again, you cultivate effective thinking. You practice mindfulness. Use whatever relaxation technique works for you, because this is not a set of items that are great across the board. This is what works for you. Here are some books that will offer you information and support, and our contact information. The local number of the Orlando area office is here. And then Latina Style is going to be sending out an email with a link attached. And please refer to the resource document on the link. You'll have various community resources in the area that are available to you and to those that you feel might be able to use them. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Our next session, Big Legacies, Extraordinary Stories. Let's welcome Lori Burgos, Senior Consultant, Diverse Marketing at Nationwide.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nationwide's Fireside Chat, Big Legacies, Extraordinary Stories, where we share inspiring stories about Latinas and the legacies they're building. Today, I am super excited to welcome Cindy Pedraza. I had the pleasure to meet Cindy about 3 years ago at the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce annual conference in Dallas, Texas. She lured me in with some amazing chocolates, and now she is one of our suppliers. Cindy's chocolates have traveled across the country with us on the Latina Style Business Series for the past few years. Cindy Pedraza is the co-founder of Coco Andre, a Mexican-American family-owned and chocolate shop and horchateria in Oak Cliff, Texas. Nearly 11 years ago, Cindy began her journey as an entrepreneur alongside her mother, Andrea, when they decided to pursue their dreams to open their own business together. Coco Andre blends the best of European chocolate traditions with modern Mexican chocolate flavors, offering handcrafted and exquisite collections of truffles, barks, and chocolate-dipped fresh fruits to celebrate every season. Welcome, Cindy, bienvenida.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
I am doing so good, and I'm just so excited about sharing your story. I learned so much from you and your mom and all of the great things that you guys have been doing with Coco Andre. And so one of the things that I didn't know about your business, even though we've been, doing business for a while, is the story of how you and your mom decided to open a business in the middle of a recession back in 2009.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
So for us, when we started in 2009, it was basically out of a need. My mother had been working for another chocolatier for about 25 years at that time. And I was a project manager with a construction company. And of course, the recession hit and I lost my job because all the employees in that company were laid off. So we decided this is going to be the perfect time for us to pursue our dream. We're both here together. So let's move forward and figure this thing out. So I remember I came in crying to my mom, maybe like a day later. I'm like, what are we gonna do? And she was like, just think about it. We'll just, we'll pray about it. We'll figure it out. Give yourself some time. And then a day later, I came back. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go forward. You've been taking these entrepreneurship classes because she already knew the company was going to close. My mom has always had a sixth sense about things. So she was already taking classes to educate herself. And she was like, I told her, I was like, whatever you want to do, I will support you. And it was just, once we said that and we put it out into the world, doors started opening for us. And I always tell people, it's kind of crazy how we walked into an art gallery in Oak Cliff, and we were talking to the owner of the art gallery, and we told him we had this dream, we wanted to open a chocolate shop, and he literally said, oh, across the street there's a building that's empty, you should look there. And that's where our first home was. And it was within our budget because we started our business with no funding. At that time, basically, I was a single mother. My mother had my youngest sister in college, so funds were limited. And we started with no money, and that building was only $400 a month, and we didn't have to pay rent until we actually opened our doors. So I just keep telling people, like, the blessings just keep coming for us in the most mysterious ways. But I always tell people, you have to speak up and you have to share what's on your mind and what's on your heart and what you want to pursue. Because if you don't share it, then how are these doors going to open for you?
Yeah.
That's how we started a recession.
I know, Cindy. I mean, when you told me that, I was like taken aback, and that was, back in 2009. So fast forward. So again, the recession becomes the impetus behind Coco Andre. Now we're fast forwarding. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. There's another economic downturn. How has this, the pandemic and everything that's happening affected your business?
Oh my gosh, I think when it started, I started noticing changes, I think in January, because we were working with one of my biggest contracts was American Airlines. And you're familiar with them, Lori. I met them at the USHCC, and that's where I met Lori as well. And I had been working with them, I think maybe at that point, maybe a year or so, maybe a little bit longer. But that was one of our biggest contracts. And I could tell that the economy was switching based on the way our books were starting to look. We were doing great. And then all of a sudden you could tell orders were coming in lesser and lesser from our big corporate accounts. And then it was like, what are we going to do? Panic started to hit me in March. And I was even interviewed here locally by a publication, and they talked about, how is this COVID pandemic, hitting your business and how it's hurting you. And I was very candid and said everything on my heart, as most Latinas do, right? If you ask us how our day is, we're like, oh, it's going terrible or it's going great. So, and then I had this remorse, like, why did I share so much? But it was very tough. It was, I was very stressed. We were very stressed out. We didn't know what to do. At that point, luckily fortunate for us, my mother has, like I told you, she has a sixth sense about things. We bought our building where we're at now. And my first thing is, okay, fine. If we don't make it through this recession, at least with this property. And if we can't survive it, at least I can sell this property, pay off our debt, and we come out, just even Steven, and we just move forward, right? I'll create something next year or whatever, but I'll be fine this year. So that was my first, plan A, but I really didn't want to think about that plan A. So I started thinking about plan B. How can I grow again through this crisis? How can I grow? And I started focusing back on our customers. So that's where I think I really saw growth, and I saw our community really stand up. And I think it also helped, so many people in corporate events or corporate companies putting out like commercials, encouraging people to support local. I think that has really been the biggest thing that has grown our business, is people supporting local and focusing back on small businesses and trying to support, the little guys in their neighborhood.
So Cindy, I really like your pivot of the conversation from, how the pandemic impacted your business and how you kind of see that coming, and the fact that one of the things that I pulled out of our conversation this past weekend was how strategic you guys have been along the way, and how that level of strategy and thoughtfulness has positioned your business for growth, even in the middle of the pandemic. And I say that because I believe, and I'm sure you don't mind me sharing this, that in early November, you guys had already surpassed your prior year sales for the entire year. So I think it's pretty amazing to say that, in the midst of, a lot of uncontrollables, you guys have been able to stay afloat and actually grow over last year. And so you talked about one of those strategic moves about, going from a rental shop to, buying your own building. And so do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and how that came about?
So my mother, of course, she's always had a sixth sense about things, like I said. So she knew our neighborhood was changing. The rents were, when I told you we started our rent was like $400 a month, and then it increased to $800 in I think 2 years, which is still very low. And then when we were in our 5th year, we had a new landlord that bought the building, and he promptly told us, hey, once, I'm going to give you a year, but we're going to raise your rent to this amount. And then after a year, it's going to just keep continuing going up depending on the neighborhood and how it's growing and developing. So he was very honest with us. And that's what the first thing that when Mom heard that, it was like, we're buying a house and we're moving out of here and we're getting our own property. So that's what we decided to do. And I think that's been our saving grace. That's been what has kept us in our neighborhood and able also to provide a space for other people, because we own our property. We're able to host other businesses and other women-owned businesses in our yard for now, because of course there's a pandemic. So we host little pop-ups and we have people there. But another thing that has been, huge is our social media platforms. I think a lot of people, since this pandemic has hit, they haven't been able to get out and, visit people or go to stores, but they're on their phone, they're on social media, they're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, everything. And that has been how we have reached so many people. I think in this past year, I think we've grown so much regarding our followers and people that come visit us is all through social media. And like I told you, I've always been strategic about how to grow my platform. I hired a coach at one point last year, and she taught me how to, just be honest and genuine with my public, not to be fearful. These are your customers, these are your friends, these are your family. Just, talk to them as you would anybody else. Don't get nervous. So that's been a great help to me. I think is just, having a social media coach that I paid for a little while. So it was an investment in us and in our brand. And I think that's really one of the biggest things that I've paid for, I think, was for our social media coaching. And that has really helped us as well this year.
You know, and Cindy, I want to make sure that I underscore that for our audience, because sometimes we're afraid of paying for things, right? And so I just really give you kudos, because in my mind, the way I see it is you were willing to invest a little, which maybe at the time it didn't feel like a little, but it has enabled you to grow. Because I know when we were talking, you were sharing how you have seen your online business really grow, and that is tied to your social media, and how you saw your followers, the number of followers and organic followers increase year over year because of that investment that you made. So one of the things that I just want to encourage those that are listening to us today is that look across your business and your business plan and your marketing plan, and determine where is there an opportunity where you can invest a little to actually make a big impact in your business. Because like I said, I was super impressed by how you were just so forward to say, you know what, I don't know how to do this well. I am going to hire a coach to help me do it better. And so the last thing I wanted to also dig in a little bit further, although you did allude to it a little bit earlier, Cindy, is how you basically have had two different audiences, right? Your corporate accounts, but then also your core customer, that one that goes online or orders, the people that come to your shop. You mentioned that you've got people coming that have found you on social media that come from other areas of the country. Tell us a little bit more about how and why that happened, how that shift occurred, and what is it that you're seeing happening with your core customer now?
With our core customer now, we have become a destination. So like you said, we have people that come. I've had people from Germany, people from Wyoming, people from California. So it's been people from all around the world. Just focusing on social media has really helped us, to grow. I just wanted to show people that we are a real family. And I think that's what social media has helped us with, showing that we're not just, a Hershey's company, just, with employees galore, and, packaging is just happening by machine. No, this is all handmade. So I try to show our employees, I try to show our children, I try to show our family gatherings, our employee dinners when we used to have them. But I try to just be more transparent. And I think that is a way that helps people connect with your actual company. So another thing that I've learned is through my social media coaching was never just put, as your profile pic. People tend to put their logo. They're like, people can't connect with logos. People connect with photos of the person that's working behind the scenes. And once we did that, we started seeing an increase immediately, because people started seeing, oh, this is a real person, that is doing this. And I think now this year, we're also seeing a lot of like chocolate makers started following us. And I really feel like we become this company that other people look up to. So also another thing that we do, I think, as Latinas, we see sometimes other businesses as competition, but we have to start seeing them as, no, they're just doing something like me because I might have inspired them, or they're just proud to be in the same arena as you are, and there's room for everybody. So I'm indebted to social media right now, because I think if we didn't have it, we wouldn't have the success that we've had this year.
Yeah, and you probably wouldn't have survived, and more than survived, like I said, seeing growth year over year in a year where there's a pandemic, right? So, and I love that message of unity, of, really, even if you're in that same business, to just lift each other and really elevate, because that's the only way we're gonna get through this, guys. So I really appreciate that really awesome message, Cindy. So what is the last message that you wish to leave our audience with?
I think just be transparent. Be you. Don't be afraid to share what's going on. Even like I've had other Zoom calls where I've talked to younger girls and they're like, I don't want to share my idea with somebody because they might steal it. And I'm like, when you have that mindset, it doesn't allow you to grow, because you're keeping all your energy for yourself and you're not putting it out into the world. So my thing is always share, but also go with your instinct, because your instinct will always tell you this is the right person to share with, this is the wrong person to share with. So always trust your instincts. I always say, but don't be afraid to share, you know, and if it's really in your heart and it's really your passion, just go forward. And I'm sorry, it's going to take time away from your family and your friends if it's really supposed to be your passion and your purpose. But you know, you will reap the benefits later on in life. Like, we're starting to see it. We have a great community now. It's been 11 years. We kind of have, this is the first year I haven't cried, and I'm so proud of myself, because every year I was the worrier and I would cry as soon as the stress would hit or something would happen. And this year it has not happened. So the only tears I've had this year are really of joy and of gratefulness, because we've been able to grow, and I'm here with you guys sharing my story. And I've been doing that a lot this year. Thank God. I've been sharing my story over and over. I think like a lot of Zoom calls this year. So I'm just grateful to be able to do that.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Those are just beautiful words of encouragement. You know, thank you for just being such a bright light, and for, you know, being willing to share what has worked for you. And so I would just add to that, you know, take Cindy and Andrea and Coco Andrea as an example of how being strategic is important. And thank you again, Cindy, for sharing your story. Please connect with them on Instagram at cocoandre_chocolatier. Thank you all for joining us today. Acuérdense que Nationwide está de tu lado. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
And now, please join us for the Entrepreneur Spotlight, learning strategies for success, do's and don'ts of running a small business. Please welcome back our co-chair, Lourdes Mola, as the moderator for this session.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Lori, I loved that session, and wow, Cindy was very powerful. So as an entrepreneur, some great nuggets for all of us here. So I am very proud to moderate this session of entrepreneurs, do's and don'ts. You know, all of these ladies in the panel have a lot of experience. They're all in different stages of their business, which makes it very, very interesting. They will give you the pitfalls, you know, what to avoid. So listen carefully, because, you know, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, right? There's going to be the ups and downs. So I'm very proud to have Janet Herrero from King Service Solutions, Marisa Rivera, which just won Entrepreneur of the Year. She's with Empowerment. And then we have Wendy Platon from CPA, WP Accounting Services. And then Diane Sears, which Diane is an entrepreneur herself, but also runs WeBank for Central Florida. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today. I'm really excited about sharing some wisdom with our you know, our participants, and really learning from all of you, because you guys have done some amazing things. So without further ado, Janet, can you share your story with us? You know, tell us a little bit about Kings.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's such an amazing panel. So I'm so honored to share my story with everyone and the attendees. So Kings really started just from a dream and a vision to do more and to change the conversation. And so I started with 4 employees and this drive and this hunger to create jobs. And that's really what my passion is, to create jobs and to create leaders. And several years into that conversation and growth in my company, I ended up buying out my competitor, which at the beginning, he was like, there's no way you can buy me out, and all these conversations about, oh my gosh, you know, you don't know anything about business or just enough about business. And so the blessing has been that after I did that buyout and merger, I also then years later married him. Yeah, you heard me right. I married my competition. But honestly, it was based on the unity of our work ethic and the core values. And so we really have a mindset to serve as leaders. And so we've unified our thoughts and our philosophy about personal development versus profit. And so it's been a great journey. So that's a little bit about how I got here and the roller coaster of adventure that I've had.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. And you know what I didn't say is when the last time Latina Style was in Central Florida, Jeanette was Entrepreneur of the Year. So so this is, you know, full circle. So thank you so much for joining us again. Marisa, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Oh my goodness. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to be together with you in this panel, but also to all the audiences that are there. Welcome, bienvenidos. It's great to be here. Part of my story, you know, they always say that you start your business either by planning it or by accident. And to me, it was a different story. It was a very personal story of perhaps some sadness and some pain, but I was actually married for 30 years. I had worked in the private sector, in the government, in academia, and I was actually in the peak of my career, loving my job. And my husband told me that he needed to take a break. He took a break and left. And I'm like, wow, 30 years of, you know, a family, a husband, and all of those things. And I knew at that moment that I had to do some drastic changes in my life. And one of those is that I had to leave the job that I loved. I loved DC, so leaving DC was also hard. But I packed up my car and took everything, all of my belongings. I'm originally from Puerto Rico, so I was longing for the ocean in a selfish way. And I said, well, I've raised my kids. My husband is with someone else. And he goes, this is my time. And so to me, the divorce and the separation was the catalyst of starting this business. So it wasn't planned, it wasn't an accident, it was just a personal situation. And it was the best thing I've ever done. When you ask business owners, what would you say about starting your business is, how come I didn't start it sooner? Because in every crisis, there's always an opportunity. To me, that personal crisis actually became a great opportunity to start my business. I always thought about becoming a business owner. And when you think about it, working for the government, the private sector, the nonprofit sector, in academia, I always said, if you can run a nonprofit well, and I said, you can be a business owner, because you're always trying to squeeze in and ask for funding. And, you know, you go through all of that and say, and those are all the skills that you need as a business owner. So that's really the humble way, following your passion and making room. You know, I remember getting to Florida, which is where I am right now. I landed in my apartment, which again, it was pure coincidence on where I landed. But I remember thinking, oh my God, I wanted to be here and I wanted to start my business. What do I do now? And then is when I started putting all of those things together, and I have never looked back. I think it's awesome. I think everybody who is thinking about starting a business, as Latinas, we can do it all, because we've been doing it all along. We make money for our bosses, or we bring funding for nonprofits. I mean, we're always working for someone else. We have the skills, we have the innovation, we have the energy, we have all of that. And so why not use it for ourselves? So to me, that's the story on how I started my business, and I'm up to my 13th year, thank God, and knock on wood. Pandemics, recessions, everything that we have gone through. But if you're passionate about what you do, you have persistence, performance, y mucho corazón, you can make it.
Thank you so much, Marisa. And I had the pleasure of meeting Marisa over 15 years ago when she led. She was a president for National Hispana Leadership Institute, an amazing organization that would mentor women. So she's been in this field for such a long time. And I mean, this is such a powerful panel that I'm just in awe. So thank you so much, Marisa. And she has spoken all over the world. So she's very humble in her introduction, but she speaks internationally all the time. Again, thank you, Marisa, so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Lourdes.
Wendy, tell us your story.
Thank you, Lourdes. Good morning, everybody. Such an honor to be here with such great panel and just everyone else that's watching. I told Lourdes, I'm the newcomer. I'm the baby in the group. Everyone else has such long experiences, but I'm the owner of WP Accounting Services, and how this all started was when I used to work in corporate America, and I said, okay, I'm going to take some time off to be with my daughter. When she was born, I said, I'm going to take about a year. And I just couldn't sit still. I was just like, okay, can't do this. And people started contacting me to start doing work for them. And I said, okay, little by little, started getting back into things until that desire that I had always had to be able to help small businesses just couldn't let me go. So I was like, all right, we're going to start this. We're going to go out there. And as always, you start your business and you're like, oh, you can do this, you can do this. But so many other things happen in between, right? But luckily, I was able to overcome, or have been able to overcome all those. And I've been in business now for 4 years. It's going to be my 5th year next year. So excited for that. Thank you. But that's pretty much my story so far. We're getting there, we're working, we're really out there to help out the small business owner, taking the skills that I have been given to be able to see them grow. That's my desire, that's my goal.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Another, what's fascinating about this group, right, is that they're all thriving during this pandemic. So, where others see the stop and, oh my God, the sky's falling, they have seen the opportunities and have taken action. So, I want to hear about Diane. Diane is a jack of all trades. So she does it all. So Diane, can you share a little bit about yourself?
I can. Hi, Lourdes. Thank you so much for inviting me today. I appreciate it. I am actually celebrating the 20th year of my business, Diverse Media. So I know, lucky 20th year. It's been really challenging for sure. I actually started my business when I was laid off 2 times in a year, 20 years ago. And I remember distinctly taking a walk around my neighborhood and looking over the lake and saying, why am I trying to work for someone else? I want to work for myself. I always have wanted to do that. So I've been a journalist for a long, long time. And I was working at the Orlando Sentinel in a career job, a great job. And I decided to leave to go with a startup magazine that was for women business owners. So I was writing about these women all over the United States who were doing great things with their businesses. And I kept thinking, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. But when I was laid off from that job, it broke my heart. I got another job pretty quickly working for some women-owned business, a women-owned business. It was 2 women who were doing it, and they're still here in Orlando. And then I got laid off again when venture capital, took it over. But I learned so much in those 2 experiences. So when I started my business, it was a consultancy, and it still is today. I help people write nonfiction books and do all kinds of other marketing projects for their companies. It's called content marketing. And I stopped counting when I got to about 100 books. So, they come to me in all different phases of development. And then this year, I took over a magazine, so a local magazine called I4 Business. And I've been writing about business owners and nonprofits and all kinds of people in business. So I live this stuff every day. And so it's no surprise that I would gravitate toward trying to help and mentor other women in business. And Lourdes, you and I met through some of the work that I've done with my nonprofit called Go for the Greens Foundation, which helps women-owned businesses connect with corporations. And then for about the past 5 years, I've been helping certify companies as women-owned here in the Orlando area for WeBank, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. Our affiliate in Florida is called the Women's Business Enterprise Council of Florida. And they're based in Miami, and there are several of us, 5 of us all over the state that do the certifying and, as contractors, and we're just having a great time with it. So I'm really passionate about this, if you can't tell, and really happy to meet all of you. I've known some of you on the panel for many years, and just meeting some of you now. So thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Dan. And we're going to hear more about WeBank, and it's the largest certifying agency for women-owned businesses, and the opportunities that come with certification. I think Janet, I know, is certified. I'm certified, and it really does propel your business. Diane, since we, start with you as well. Tell me what advice would you give someone who wants to start their business?
You know, I would not do it by accident. I would try to plan ahead. So, you know, you don't always have a choice, surely, but if you can plan ahead, do. There's a book that Nancy Allen from Weebeck, Florida wrote about running a business. And there's another one that we're putting together right now that's actually going to talk about that. But there are some stages you can go through in planning. It's best to, you know what they say, like, don't look for a job when you don't have a job. Try to do it when you still have one. So that's what I say. Try to venture in, put your toe in the water, get everything set up, get all of your permits and all those kinds of things, and plan it. Have a plan and a strategy. I'd like to hear what the others have to say.
Yes, you know, I think that's easier said than done. I think
it is, right.
You know, most businesses, and Marisa, I ask you the same question, but you know, most businesses start, you know, I was 20 years in corporate America, and finally, you know, I had some, you know, my mom passed away. It was a very difficult time. And that's when I said, you know what, I want to just do my own thing. I don't want to travel anymore. So I, you know, didn't have a plan, Diane, believe it or not, which I'm pretty planful. I didn't have a plan. So, and I, thank God, I think I've had a guardian angel with me all the time. It has been fantastic. And, you know, what I started, I think one of the major things in business is sometimes what you start and what you plan, you have to be flexible because that can change. So, Marisa, I would love to hear from you as Entrepreneur of the Year.
Well, of course, we should follow Diane's advice. You should plan it. You should have crossed all the T's and all the I's. As women, we're good about that. But sometimes life presents some situations that, you know, it is what it is. The first thing I will say, you know, yes, have the plan, have the banker, have the insurance, you know, have your business plan, do all of those things. But I'm gonna talk to you about, you know, how to drive your business with your passion. The first thing I would say, don't fear, because if you've worked in corporate America, if you work in the nonprofit, if you've worked, period, you have the skills. If you have your education, you have your skills. Sometimes you say, well, I've never done that. And I said, that's okay, but you've done so many other things. So I always say, we've been preparing for this all of our lives. So for me, it was thinking, well, if I can bring $2 million to a nonprofit organization, why can't I make a portion of that to survive myself? So I will always give that advice, because you're already making millions for corporate America. You're making millions for that nonprofit. I said, why can't you make some for yourself? Learn to take calculated risk. Because again, being in a small business, it does happen, and sometimes you puzzle, but then that's where your mentors and the people that you know and your colleagues that you've known for a long time, you give them a call and say, what do you think about this? Put all the pros and cons, and then take that risk. You know, Cindy was really good about saying, you know, I don't know who's going to buy my chocolates, but look at her now, she's doing beautifully. But you need to take some of those calculated risks. Or Janet, when you decided I'm going to buy my competitors, said, awesome. That is great. And he said, but those are calculated risks that you said, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but if you think it through and plan it correctly, great ideas. If you've lost a job, if you're in the middle of a pandemic and you can't find anything, create your dream job. So to me, starting your own business is creating your dream as a reality. And of course, planning it and then putting all into place is what works. Learn the new skills. I would say, you know, if you're wanting to step up and pass the page and start something new, then learn the skills that you need to learn. Get the certification that you need. Take the classes that you need. Unite forces. One of the things, especially because I didn't have everything planned, I didn't have a business plan, I just knew I really have no room for error, which I have to realize that jumping in and said, I'm starting my own business, packed up my car, moved to Miami. I'm like, oh my God, I have no room for failure. I got to pay rent next month. How am I going to do this? So you quickly get all of that energy and that enthusiasm, like, you know, I got to get this done. And I say, and all of us can do it. But then make sure that you also join forces with other colleagues, because Cindy also mentioned it. Don't start saying, oh, that person is my competitor. I have joined forces with some of my best colleagues, and we've done great work throughout the years. And it's because we joined those forces. I have some skills, she has other skills, and we've been able to do beautiful work. And I said, so join forces of people that, and of course, call those people that know you, that they know your work ethic, that they know your background, that they know what you're capable of doing. Because if you were able to do it with corporate America, you're saying you can do it to your new clients. And of course, always being the cutting edge. You know, how can I be better than my competitors? What can I give to that client? Something new, something different. And I think right now is the perfect opportunity of that. Trust your instinct. Cindy also mentioned that. Trust your instinct. Sometimes that gut feeling that tells you, I've also had to fire clients. I mean, there are times that you say, this is just not working. So you're capable of firing your clients, and take all the negative people off your plate. Always surround your people with the people that care for you, the people that love you. And I can't underestimate, always ask help when you need it, and keep your family very close. Because to me, my family has been the strongest supporters and the biggest cheerleaders of everything. All the crazy ideas that I have, they're always behind me. So my brothers, my sister, my kids have been amazing, especially during this pandemic time. Like, Mom, you can do this. I said, but this whole distance learning, said, we'll help you, we'll do it. So it's been amazing how you can join those forces. Not only always have plan A, B, and C, because if one doesn't fail, be ready for the next one. And the last thing, believe in yourself, be resilient, follow your passion. If you follow your passion, the money will follow.
Thank you, Marisa, for those great nuggets. You know, this panel is about thriving, right? When through this pandemic, these difficult times. Yana, can you share with us and the attendees, what are some of the choices that King Service Solutions has done during this time to thrive?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we do in the organization is track our goals and our KPIs through a VTO, right? This is a system that allows us to pivot quickly and be flexible. What do the business partners need? We talked a lot about, customer service, and we talked a lot about serving and having that team work mentality and attitude. So how do we grow our leaders? And so we've been very intentional about leadership training. We've been very intentional about seeing opportunities, not mistakes. So I think some of the things that we've learned as a team is that there's no such thing as a mistake. It's an opportunity. It's a lesson to learn. It's a lesson to lean on each other. And then being very transparent about our weaknesses and our strength, and being able to reach across the board and say, you know what, I'm not so great at this, but you are amazing. So can you help me navigate through this, and how to best serve the business partners and then also our team members? Earlier on, we knew that we wanted to define ourselves and our brand by our culture. And so we build the DNA of the organization by our core values, and we live that out every single day. And so we have a culture trainer that goes around the whole entire state, talking to our team members, sharing our culture, because as we know, not every business partner is a good fit. So we have to be able to identify what is our yes and what is our no. And so as we go through uncertainties, the critical thinking aspect is important to identify before the concerns arise, right? So preparation meets opportunity. And I stand by that. I think if we prepare, then we'll be able to meet the opportunity of the ever-changing world and the perspective of one particular case. We knew that we wanted to get into the healthcare industry and serve our healthcare partners. And we were able to have 100 jobs in the middle of this pandemic. And I'm so grateful for that, because we are able to support our community. The biggest joy is when someone walks through the door and says, can you help me? I need job placement. I need to help my family. And we give them the skill sets, the training, the certifications, and then we send them off for success. And so those are some of the things that we practice on a daily basis, the right choices, being present and listening to the needs.
Thank you so much, Annette. And that's incredible, right? Adding 100 jobs through this pandemic. And, we talk a lot about pivots, right? But I think with a King Service Solution, they did like a little swivel, right? Because they're still doing the same work. I mean, they're still janitorial services. However, they're not so much focused on hospitality like they were before. Now it's healthcare. So I think that was it's a wonderful move. And one of the things that I love that they did is teach, people businesses how to open safely during this difficult time. So giving back to the community, I think, was a big plus. And I commend you for that, Janet. That was amazing. So Wendy, 5 years, congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell me about some of those challenges that you incurred in those 5 years.
It's funny that you say that, because it's like, it's not just so many. What challenges don't you face when you're a business owner? You face everything, because you come from not having to do or to wear all the hats to now having to wear everything. So it's like, you have to know how to market, you have to know how to hire people, you have to know how to just be able to even find or research certain things. So I think one of the biggest challenges that I faced right off at the beginning was being able to have the resources, or at least what I thought, right? That I didn't have the resources. But I came from a Big 4, big company world. So if I had a question, I could just go to the neighbor and say, hey, can you help me out with this? And, they'll be able to do it as simple as doing a PowerPoint presentation. And when you're working for yourself now, or as an entrepreneur, you may not have the person sitting right next to you. But this is where it's really important as an entrepreneur to start building relationships and make sure you keep relationships that you already have, so that you can or have a community of resource. I don't know if everyone, had just joined or joined earlier, but there was so much information this morning. I think that if you're going to be starting a business, you need to do research on what resources do you have available to you in the county, in the state, Chamber of Commerce, whatever it may be. I joined the Chamber of Commerce and I started to see, hey, there is a lot out there that can help me. And I had colleagues from before that whenever I had a question that maybe I did not know, I could go to. But if I had not built on that relationship, then that would have been really difficult for me. And at first, obviously, like I said, it was, because when you start your business, you're all pumped. You're like, I can do this. We're going to conquer the world and all this. And then you start to see, wait a minute, now I have to make sure we're doing invoicing correctly. I'm an accountant, so I should know this, right? But for other people that may not know that part, and you can't know it all. Do not be so hard on yourself to say that I need to know this, I need to know that. You need experts next to you. So it's very important that all of us need an expert at something. And if you don't like doing something, like I'm not the best at marketing, I'll admit it. So same thing, I've had to bring people in that can help me with that area. So I think there's tons of challenges that we all face where it's just like, and it continues to evolve, right? Because like crisis comes, new challenge. So you have to be able to, that word again, pivot. And by the way, pivot to me means a lot, because in accounting, you use that word all the time. I even have a shirt that says it. But you have to learn to adapt. And so the important thing, going back to just making sure you have those people, make sure that you're attending events like this as often as you can, because there's so much information out there. There's so much empowerment that you can receive from other people that will help you just take you to the next level.
Absolutely. So, when I started my business, I brought in friends and colleagues, and I did a little board of directors to guide me through this process, because it was uncharted territory for me. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, if people would even pay for my services. You have all these things going on. So yeah, those relationships are key. I think, and I'm going to ask Janet this question. We have a hard time as Latinas asking for help sometimes. We want to do it all. How do you ask for how do you get a mentor? Talk to me about how does that work, and how does that shape your thinking and your business, help you in your business?
Yeah, I think that's key, having a mentor, and not just one. Like there's different stages of your business where you're going to attract what you're putting out in the world, right? So if you need help, like when you were saying, in a particular department or a strategic move, buying or purchasing your competitor, there's going to be different needs. So just simply having someone that will listen. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we're so hungry to advance and perform, and we kind of equate everything on our performance. But a great mentor is one that can listen, one that is wiser. And it's okay to admit, to say, I don't know. I think there's so much power in saying, I have no idea how to do that. And just because I'm in this seat and this opportunity doesn't mean I have all the answers. And so I think what I've learned in my particular experience when choosing and selecting a mentor is to listen and apply. So quickly listen and then turn around and apply this wisdom so you don't have to make those same mistakes and then go through those obstacles, and then remember that with the help of a mentor, you continue to climb that mountain and you're together reaching the other side. So it's so important, right? It doesn't have to be lonely. Everyone says, oh, leadership is lonely, but it really doesn't have to be. You can find others that are not only in the same stage of your business, but also that have been there and done that. And that they know just by a look or a certain sentence in your conversation, they can reach out and say, hey, you know what, I've been there. I can make that decision and give you some wise wisdom to help you through that. So selecting a mentor is about having that chemistry and also viewing their information as something that you can apply, right? Their recommendations. There's so much knowledge to what everyone's journey is. And so I love saying around my boardroom, I do takeaways. So we do takeaways in every meeting. Do you know what the takeaways are? It's just so that I can learn, what is everyone else learning? What did you take away that was important from this meeting? I want to hear it. I don't want to find out a month later that you actually created something when you can share it now out of just that meeting. And so I love doing takeaways and learning from that and then applying it myself, because a lot of the times we're just going through the same motion as someone else across the board, and we need to do it together.
Exactly.
Can I say something? I think we should also make sure not to discount peer mentorship, peer-to-peer. So there's an organization called Women Presidents Organization. There are others like that out there where you have a kind of a round table of people who come together every month or whatever. And so you learn from your peers as well. And I loved what you said, Lourdes, about putting together an advisory board, kind of an advisory council for yourself. I've done that over the years too with many of my big projects. And I think it's really important for us to note that too. You don't have to just look for someone who is maybe like above you in rank or who's been doing it longer than you have. Even people who are brand new to whatever they're doing can be peers for you, peer mentors for you, because they can add a dimension to what you're thinking about.
And it's funny because, like, for example, Karen, that is co-chairing this with me, she says, oh, I could learn so much from you. I've learned so much from her. I mean, so there is that, that relationship, that mentor relationship, that you're each learning from each other. So I am a big believer that you don't have to do this all by yourself. Get a group together. Of course, your family's always with you, but get a group together and walk this journey with them. And it's going to be so much better in the long run. One of the things that, and I think somebody put in the chat room about funny stories and sharing some challenges, right, is getting some businesses into corporate America. That is always a challenge. So Diane, I want you to talk a little bit about WeBank and what WeBank does. And for those that don't know, it's a Women Business Enterprise National Council. And talk about the companies that are part of it, because I think they can really help you get to the next level. So many, women businesses start at one point, but then have a hard time getting to that $1 million mark. So how does WeBank help small businesses?
Great question, and thank you for letting me talk about that, because I'm definitely passionate about it. WeBank started off as an organization that would help companies like ours get connected with corporations. So it's all about the corporations. And then today we've actually become helpful in getting contracts with the SBA. So I mean, with federal government and SBA, you know, I heard someone talk about that earlier. When you have a certification, it shows that you're really serious about your business. You're serious about developing it. You're serious about being there for the long term. And so if a corporation is getting ready to do business with you, they want that assurance that you're not going to just be a fly by night, or you know, you're just going to drop the contract. They have to know that you're super serious. And becoming certified is an arduous task. It's not easy. We give people 90 days from the time you actually sign on to the website to fill out everything. And that's because sometimes people just give up, or they'll say, I'll just do it later, and it'll take them 6 months if they don't do that. So our advice is always to take a look at the list of materials you need to become certified, print that out, or put it in a file somewhere, and then get all those materials gathered and check them off. And, you know, they start with everything from your, you know, license and passport type of thing, all the way to your board of directors minutes. And if you're a company of one, you actually do have to write something that says that you had a meeting with yourself and talked about what your goals are for the next year, and you know, things like that. But it makes you think, and it makes you better. So having that connects you with corporations. You don't have to be any size of a company to become certified, which is the beauty of it. You can be a one-person company. Your revenue, you know, is not important. And so I always say, start when you're small, because when you get to be Annette's size, you know, company, trying to become certified then when you have 500 employees, that's a lot harder. You got a lot more paperwork to get. So start when you're small, and then you know, recertify as you go along. And the other thing that we always recommend is try to get as many certifications as you qualify for. So if you are woman-owned, if you're Hispanic-owned, if you're Black-owned, you're gay, lesbian-owned, get those certifications. Veteran-owned, disabled. There are organizations that certify for all of those things, and they all come with different communities. So I go to all the women-owned events all year, and we call it like the circuit, you know, and I see all the same corporations every year, and I can say, hey, you know, and I actually had Disney come up to me and say, why aren't we doing business with you? You know, UPS did the same thing. Why aren't we doing business with you? Because they've known me for so long. So that happens, you know, but you have to work it. And I love to hear other people's experience on this panel, because I know that you all, some of you who've been certified, you know how to use that certification well.
Absolutely. So, you know, as one of my roles at Disney was minority business development, and I saw firsthand what a difference it makes for somebody to be certified. It's not going to guarantee you any contract. So, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it gets you in the door and it gets you a seat at the table. So, you know, if you haven't thought about it, I mean, it's definitely something that you should consider in moving your business forward. So all of you are so successful, but there had to be one person in your lives that influenced you. So I want to hear from each one. Janet, who was the person that you think influenced you the most in your life to be where you are today?
Gosh, I think everyone that has that positive energy, you know, continues to connect with me, right? So those that are hungry to achieve success in their own way. But I have to say that through my journey, my mother, I remember being 7 years old and coming to the United States and getting off that airplane, and my mother just whispering to me, I'll never forget it. She said, you know, everything is possible and your dreams can come true and you can help others. Stick to your core values, stick to having integrity, have faith, believe that the impossible is just really a word. And so that really crafted me. to continue to share what I'm passionate about, to continue to get up early in the morning and race as if it was my first day at work. And when I go in late at night, understanding, to continue to give and pour out not only to my business and my partners, but also to my family. And so as we wear different hats, looking at my mother's example of tenacity is the most beautiful story and legacy I could follow.
Marisa, thank you, Janet. Marisa.
Well, I will have to say influencing my parents, both of them. I think when they had me, they didn't realize what they got, but my first revolutions were at home. I was always against why the boys had more advantages than the girls. And I was gung-ho about it. So I did had my first revolution at home. And also because they saw my intentions of all the things that I wanted to do. And they said, okay, go ahead, do them. Go ahead and do them. They never stopped me. But they also gave me, like Janet, they gave me the values of work ethic. They were both hard workers in everything that they did. They also gave me the values of respecting others. So all of those values come with you when you're starting your own business. And the other person that I have to say that was a catalyst for me starting my own business is my ex-husband, because although he didn't really invested in the company, he was actually the force that I said, hey, pasa la página, it's time to move on and go. So I always say I have to thank him for that. I started my own business because of that.
Absolutely. Wendy, what about you? Who influenced you?
Sorry, I was playing with the mute button there. I think I have to go with, I'm going to say first my parents as well, because I think your bringing up has a lot to do with, how much you're able to do in life. I had my dad who was a very hard worker. He was one that always pushed me to do better. And I used to complain because I was like, why does he always want me to have all A's? Why can't it be like 1B, 1C a year? No, but he was always pushing me to do better. And he was always just, you could see that he was just a little bit prideful to see that we were doing when we did well. But that has pushed me to believe that just like he was able to, in a way, also be an entrepreneur himself, that I could do it. So my dad, and then my mom was the complete opposite. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she had like the softer side and believed that you can do it and believe in people, So I think the combination of the two had a great impact on who I am today and the entrepreneur that I am. But then I also had a professor, and I won't forget him ever, because when I started my studies, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was like, I'm going to do business. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to travel the world. But he saw something in me that I didn't never realize. He's like, Wendy, you're really good at this. You really, and I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, but he saw something in me and he started to show me that, hey, you can do it. Like, although you come from maybe, I'm from Ecuador. So I moved here when I was 10. So sometimes you're brought up to think of like limits in your life, like how far you can get. But he started to show me, no, you can do it. Look, even though your family may not have made it there, you're going to do it. So those are the people that I really look up to now.
Perfect. Thank you, Wendy. Diane?
So I would have to say my mom and her mom. So my grandmother on my mom's side was my icon of style, and I learned how to appreciate things like jewelry. But she also I used to put on
a good trade. I
would put on all her jewelry at the same time and walk around the house when I was 3. But she taught me how to laugh and how to just have grace under pressure. Then my mom taught me how to have strength, because she's just the strongest person I know. And sometimes she's very headstrong, and sometimes I look in the mirror and I say, oh, there she is. There's my mom right there. But yeah, I'm really blessed that I had 2 very great women role models in my life, and others, but those 2 mostly.
Thank you. Yeah, my parents were obviously my role models. They came to this country not knowing the language and worked hard. My dad had a boat company, and he was the worst businessman ever. Like my mom was always complaining. Talk about, you know, Wendy, you talk about the numbers. He was not a numbers. He had a little book of people that owed him money. And my mom goes, how do you do these? You know, back then, that's how, he was like the bank for people buying boats. But, you know, when I look now at the person I am, I do it for my daughter. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and I want her to be surrounded by strong women and feel that there's nothing that is impossible in the world. So that's kind of, I think she's become my role model in many ways.
That's awesome.
So, you know, I see so much in her, and just, you know, it's a great time. So many people now, you know, all these business owners, all the attendees here, they want to know how you did it. How did you thrive during this time? And you know, it hasn't been easy, right, for anybody. The pivoting, even with, you know, all the great things that all of you are doing, it's still very, very challenging. So what words of advice, encouragement can you give our attendees? And we can start with Diane, and you know, Diane, since you can start with you. What words of encouragement can you give these business owners during this difficult time?
You just have to keep the faith. I mean, it's just been that, you know, I took over this magazine I mentioned right as things were happening with the pandemic. So I didn't own the magazine yet. So I didn't qualify for all of the subsidies or the loans and all of those things. And it's been a long process to try to get that all taken care of. But you just have to keep the faith and also, you know, be confident that what you're offering as a business is what people need. I have been advising people on how to pivot. I know when we first started this whole thing, one of my friends and one of our certified businesses, she said, I'm not going to pivot. She says, it's going to come back. It's going to be fine. And I thought, oh, and within, I guess, you know, a week or so, she had created a whole new business model, and I'm very proud of her, and is doing really well. So I'm watching others. I'm constantly partnering with my fellow women business owners and also other business owners. The partnerships are key. So everything you can do to just, you know, kind of get through and know that there's a brighter tomorrow.
Thank you, Diane.
Mm-hmm.
What is your advice?
So I think, and this is just something that I've learned in my the small amount of years that I have so far, but spend some quality time to really write out and understand your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you in business? Because I think that with everything that's going on, like when the pandemic all started, I was pregnant, I was having a baby in the middle of that, but my goal has always been to help people. So I went into help mode. And I was like, I'm gonna help my clients. I'm gonna make sure that they get what they need, the resources that are out there. I was watching the news, keeping up with stuff while there was one time, I gotta say this, there was one time that I had to go to the hospital. And I'm like, take my laptop with you, because I need to make sure I stay up to date with stuff so I can help my clients. I know that's pushing a little bit, but it's because of that why. It's because I know that that's what I want to do. And so it's no longer stressful. It's no longer work, it's a passion. So I think spend some quality time with your why.
Perfect. I like that. Marisa?
Well, thriving during crisis times is tough, but I think being in the small business arena, we have lots of crises all the time. It could be payday. It could be that your clients are not paying you on time, that you have to buy materials, that, there's always something. So I think we are prepare to deal. And that's why I say it's good to have plan A, B, and C, because things happen, life happens. But I always remind people that in every crisis, there's an opportunity. We've had the loss of jobs, we have recessions, and now we have civil unrest, and we have the pandemic, and we have, oh my goodness, what else are we gonna do? And I always remind people of the human response cycle by a psychiatrist who actually talks about the grieving period that we go through changes. And it starts with shock. You know, how many of you remember when they said we're shutting down the United States of America? And you're like, what? Are they? No, that's not true. And I will go back to the news again and say, are they really saying that? And I said, yes. And it's Italy, and it's Spain, and it's the entire world. I mean, it's a shock. We all went through that shock. But they say 2 weeks. Okay, oh, good. 2 weeks vacation, fantastic. But those 2 weeks became 4 weeks, and 6 weeks, and 3 months, and we're not into 9 months. I mean, personally, I had scheduled travel for all of those months, and I say, what do you mean they shut down airports? That's impossible. How am I going to continue working? So the shock was there, and I think it has been for all of us. And then you become into denial series. You're like, no way, I'm not going to listen to that. And then you go into anger. You know, what do you mean you have canceled everything that I had planned for the last 6 months? So we go through that, and you start blaming. Who's to blame? Is it China? Is it the president? Is it who's to blame? And then you become and say, well, what am I going to do? And you have the apathy. But it's when you actually move from that curve to finally accepting and exploring, okay, if this is the new reality, what am I going to do about it? And to me, as business owners, that's where our strengths come in. And that's where I keep thinking that, yes, Latinas will continue to be the face of the fastest growing small business, because no podemos, there's no room for error. There's no room for sitting down and say, ¿y ahora qué hago? Well, things are not going to come back. It's just not the new, they call it the new normal, or things are going to come back. No, there's new normal. There's a new reality. And it's up to us as business owners to accept it. And as soon as you accept that, to me, that was my shift. And I said, I went through the blame and the shock and the denial and all of those things. And then finally, when I said, you know what, this is the new reality. And what am I going to do that I'm going to give my clients the best that I can do in the situation and the new reality that we're accept. So accepting the reality and moving on. And when you accept that new realities, then what the companies, the employees are working to create a hybrid of what we used to have with what we have in reality. And employers were like, no, we're not going to do distance learning. We're not going to do any of that. Well, 9 months into it, now everybody's doing it. And now they're realizing how much money they're saving. And I say, hey, I think we like this thing of either keeping people at work, or instead of traveling for me, myself as a speaker, I said, we'll just hire her and she talks to the computer and trains my people. And I said, fantastic. So when you think about the advantages of doing distance, taking advantage of what the government assistance, this morning, the presentation was absolutely wonderful about the PPP and the loans that are out there. I was hesitant about that, but it was actually Robert Bauer. He said, don't let it go. Don't let it. And he just said those words, and I said, okay, I'm going to apply. And I said, oh my gosh, what a relief that was. And so there is help out there. There's availability. And if you take advantage of that, they could give you the peace of mind to continue creating. Because to me, this crisis has given me the opportunity to create everything that I usually do in person. Now it's in a format that I can pick up and go and do it anywhere around the world. My first client, or my first presentation after this whole pandemic, was in Paraguay. So really, now it's the limit. You don't need to travel to Africa. You don't need to travel to Latin America. You just do it in distance. So the opportunities are there. You just need to go ahead and grab it and prepare. What is it? I am tired of learning all the new platforms, because of course every client has a different one. Is it Zoom? Is it Microsoft Meetings? Is it GoToMeetings? Is it Google Meetings? Is it WebEx? Well, you learn all of those, because that's my tool. So it is up to me to learn about that. The other thing I would say, that more than ever, social media. And it says social media is a free marketing tool that we all need to be using. And I was very skeptical and I didn't use it much, man. Now I'm using it all the time. What you have in the LinkedIn, you know, every time you do a good job, have those referrals, you know, ask those people to please go to my LinkedIn and give the recommendation, or that beautiful email you wrote me, can you put it in LinkedIn? So people know that you're up to the cutting edge of what's new. Invest in your business, learn the new skills, use the social media, volunteer, and be grateful for what you've got.
We want to, Janet, I'm sorry, we ran out of time and we want to take some Q&A.
Yes.
So let me go through some of the questions. We only have like 2 minutes for questions at this point.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're very passionate, Marisa. We know you're very, very passionate.
I have my list ready.
Exactly. So questions here. Let's see if I have any Q&A questions. So what do you predict for the future? And I'll let Janet answer this. What do you think with this pandemic for the future?
I think great opportunities. I think this is when we're at our best. We really are our best. When there is a moment of need, we rise to the occasion. So I believe that new entrepreneurs will flourish. I believe that current entrepreneurs will continue to grow, learn about themselves. We're going to learn that it is important to reach our goals, but just as important or more important is what we achieve and what we become after reaching our goals. And so I think the best is yet to come. I, by nature, am a positive thinker. So I like to look at obstacles as opportunities. And I think that's what we should look for the pandemic to be, right? What opportunities are out there? What hasn't been created? And how could we prepare for if something like this or even greater was to happen again, right? So I think being prepared and reaching out across the board and collaborating is really important. So lots of new collaborations and growth, and we'll learn about ourselves that we're not quitters. We are beautiful humans, and we have the gift of an example of the greatest leader ever. So I believe we're going to learn that.
Thank you so much, Janet. I am so grateful for spending time with you ladies. Diane, fantastic information. Wendy, Marisa, Janet. I think my mantra for the year is pray, hope, and don't worry. That's like I've been living by that these days, and it has it served me well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you all for.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Please help me welcome our Mistress of Ceremonies. She's an Emmy and Society Professional Journalist Award winner who works as a consumer investigative reporter and producer for Telemundo 31. Please welcome Valeska Gill.
Thank you so much, everybody. Good morning. Amazing words by amazing women, amazing Latinas. I have like so many thoughts running at the same time. They are so inspiring. And today I am truly delighted to be part of this amazing conference, the Latina Leadership Business Series. Today, we're going to be recognizing the accomplishment of Latina business owners, Latina leaders, and Latina professionals. Now on to the Latina Style 2020 Business Series Awards presentation. Please welcome back Robert Bard, who will be presenting our Latina Style Lifetime Achievement Award.
Well, hello, everybody. I hope that you are enjoying the morning and that you're getting a lot of very useful information that is going to make it easier to run your business and continue to charge ahead. You know, we have come to a part of the program, and thank you so much for the introduction. We have come to a part of the program where we would like to recognize some of the people who have really impressed us through the years. And for this year, you know, we wanted, first of all, to make sure that we recognize Dr. Antonia Novello with a Lifetime Achievement Award. I think we're having some, there is the picture with Dr. Novello. I think we've been having some issues with her connection, but Dr. Novello was the 14th Surgeon General of the United States, and she was the first woman to achieve that rank and position, and also she was the first Latina. She has a distinguished career, and she has been able to, at all levels, to advocate on behalf of the health of our Latinas, Latinos, of our community, but of our country, really. Now she has recently returned from an exhausting journey through all of Puerto Rico, where she is making sure that everybody gets their influenza vaccines. And I'm sure she's going to be working on the COVID-19 pandemic and the vaccines that are going to come, shortly, we hope, before the end of the year. Dr. Novello is a wonderful achiever. She's a Latina who's an example to all of us. At every turn, she's excelled. From being we had a chance to work very closely with her when Latina Style was headquartered in Washington, D.C. So we know her very well. We know what she's capable of. After her tenure as the 14th Surgeon General, she went back to New York, where the governor appointed her in charge of the health for the state of New York. And now she is actually in Florida. But she'll be, I'm sure, traveling all over the country, making sure that all Latinos and Latinas and all the people that in our country really find a way to deal with this tremendous challenge that we're facing with the pandemic. So unfortunately, the doctor was not ever able to log in. Maybe she may log in a little bit later. So we're going to proceed to our second award. And our second award is, you've been hearing about who are the mentors that make small business happen. Who are the people who really, champion your cause? And I want to tell you about a dear friend who has been a mentor, a champion, and actually a bulldozer for small business owners, for Latina business owners as well, most of all. So he's been a pioneer for all of his life. He's been, and just seeing his picture gives a warmth to my heart. This man served in the U.S. Navy for over 20 years. She retired as a lieutenant colonel and immediately proceeded to find other ways to help our country and help our community. Jose Niro is an institution, and he's a dear friend and a very honest man. And if you want somebody to mentor you, if you want somebody to champion you, if you want somebody that will go to the mat for you, make sure that you engage with him. So it is with great humility and pleasure that we present Jose Niro with our Pioneer Award. Jose?
Well, thank you, Robert, for those kind words. Hello, everyone. Although we are not able to gather in person, I feel like I am in the room with you at this exciting Latina style celebration. Thank you. I am certainly honored and humbled by this recognition. Throughout my years in supplier diversity, it has been a true pleasure. In working with and supporting and opening doors for Latina entrepreneurs and many other diverse business owners. Thank you to Latina Style and Robert and Lupita for everything that you do in support of the growth and development of Latinas. It means a lot to everyone, and and your work is outstanding. The Pioneer Award gives me renewed energy to continue to tear down walls, level the playing field, and open doors across corporate America. I will continue to live up to the recognition with the continued support of Wyndham Destinations as we strengthen and celebrate diversity in the areas where we work and live. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jose Nido, for those amazing words. Very well-deserved recognition. I see that Dr. Antonia Novello is here now. I'm not sure if she would like to give us the speech that she owes us, because she's such an inspiring woman. I have had the opportunity to work with Dr. Novello, and she is one of the smartest and most amazing doctors that I have ever met. I would like to see if Dr. Novello would like to speak, if she's available, before we proceed for the next award. How are you, Dr. Novello? Hello, Dr. Novello. Welcome. Can you hear us well?
Okay, she's not able to over the other.
Oh my God.
Oh, we hear you. We hear you now, Dr. Novello. This is the thing with technology. We have gotten used to this so much. And I remember when we were doing live questions for our audience back when the pandemic started, Dr. Novello was extremely helpful with all of our viewers. We can still not hear you now, Dr. Novello, so we're gonna go ahead and continue with the next presentation. I'm going to invite back Mr. Robert Bart again, who will be presenting our Latina Style Entrepreneur of the Year Award for Florida. And we'll check back.
What do I do? What happened?
Okay. Can anybody hear me there? We're having some technical difficulties right now, so we're frozen.
You're good, Robert.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So we will bring, yeah, thank you so much for that, Valeshka, and we will hear from Dr. Novello right when we make sure that the connection is working. Well, you know, you heard it in the previous panel that Maritza Rivera will be recognized as the Entrepreneur of the Year. We, and personally myself, we've had the opportunity to know Maritza. I don't want to say how many years, she may get mad at me to begin to date us, but Maritza is being such a champion, you know, in our community. I remember the very beginning, the one with NHLI, and I remember, you know, meeting Maritza and all the work that she was doing with that wonderful organization that for a while was the leadership organization that you had to be part of. And Maritza was an incredible leader. I remember when Maritza, and we were very saddened in Washington, D.C. when Maritza left the city and moved to Florida. But we were very encouraged to see that she had taken up the reins of her own business, and she had started to really move the line, you know, in other places. And all of a sudden, you know, Maritza was not only doing leadership in the United States, she was doing it all over the world, because she has done it actually in Latin America, she's done it in Africa, she's done it wherever you can go. I mean, they know Maritza. And Maritza, it's been an honor for us at Latina Style to have you as our guest columnist in every issue of the magazine, where her column runs, so you can read all about what Maritza has been up to, or how little she wants to share, because she does so much. So it is with great pleasure, Maritza, that we've been able to follow your career, that we have treasured your friendship, that we have treasured your advice and how serious you are about empowering Latinas. So Latina Style is very, very proud to present to Maritza Rivera, the Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Maritza.
Yes, thank you, Robert. You have no idea how excited I was when I received the news that you have chosen me. He said, "What, me?" And I say, at the same time, I have fun memories of working with you and your staff, and now with Lupita. I love working with Latina Style because just as me, we know the power that Latinas have, and we need to find ways on how to maximize and amplify the voices of Latinas across and through Latina Style magazines. And thank you, because I have great stories about Las Jefas, the column that I've been writing for many years, and how some teachers says, "Oh, every time we take the magazine, I tell my students," and these are ESL students, adult students, that she says, "I always tell them they have to read La Jefa because I know you," and they just always look forward to getting the magazine and using it for many different purposes. But it's a way to amplify Latina voices. I am humbled and honored to receive the Entrepreneur of the Year Award from Latina Style. I want to congratulate today's awardees, Mr. Jose Nido, and of course, my good friend and colleague, Dr. Antonia Novello, for their service, their inspiration to the Latino community. Thank you. I also want to thank, of course, Nationwide for all of their sponsors and all the other sponsors of Latina Style, most of them for believing in the mission and the vision of Latinas throughout the years. Without your support, many of us couldn't continue. I want to thank, of course, my family, my brothers and my sister who have been there through thick and thin of starting my business, my children, Juanito, Marisita, and Javi, who are my best cheerleaders and are always willing and ready to give me a hand in anything I need. So they are also my role models. To all of my colleagues, clients, and friends who have been with me for such a long time, I accept this award. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful award. I don't know. Oh, I guess you can't see it. But you saw it before. I accept this award on behalf of the millions of Latinas in this country who are using their innovation, their creativity, their hard work, their boldness to face the many challenges of running a small business, even during global pandemic times and economic crisis. Thank you, Robert Barr. Thank you, Lupita, Diana, Tanya, and Gloria from Latina Style for always also supporting me in so many ways. And I thank you, Latina Style Business Series, for forging the way for so many Latinas and for providing a voice and a platform for Latinas to thrive. Thank you. I will treasure it, and I appreciate your support as always. Latinas have enriched the American landscape. The experience and the economy of this brilliance, boldness, and hard work will provide and continue to be in the forefront of Latina businesses. So congratulations to all the Latina business owners. Thank you.
Well, congratulations again, Maritza. What a delight. I think we continue, to try to, there she is. Dr. Novello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Ah, there you are. I'm glad that we were able to connect. Well, I already spoke, wonders about you. What a great woman you are. What a great doctor you are. What a great humanitarian you are. I am delighted that we have been able to be friends for so many years. We go back to times when things seem to make sense. And I want to congratulate you again for what you're doing today, because, when you were, we met when you were the 14th Surgeon General of the United States, and we followed your career. And now, you are going across the country, and you just got back from Puerto Rico, as a matter of fact, and on another humanitarian mission that is probably going to be the first step on many steps that you're going to be taking for the next coming years while we fight this this virus as well. And so it is our pleasure, Dr. Novello, to have the opportunity to recognize your achievement by presenting you with the Latina Style Lifetime Achievement Award.
Robert, I mean, when I got your notice, I almost fainted, and it's not a good news for somebody my age. And most of the time when I'm listening to Lifetime Awards, I always believe that you guys really want me to die. I rather have it Midlife Award, but I let it be. But at this stage of the game, as I said before, to get a degree, to get an award is important, but to get an award that is given by your peers, especially by women peers, when we basically know how hard it is to get to the top, I really appreciate it even more, because it gives the idea to the women in the line going up that there's things that happen if you do a good job and if you really get involved in everything that you want to do. But at this moment, I remember Mark Twain said, it's better to deserve honors and not to have them than to have them and not to deserve them. So I don't know if this is one that I deserve, but I have to tell you, I am so thankful and so honored, and I swear I will not disappoint any women in the United States or a Latina for having selected me in this endeavor. So I thank you profusely, and I hope to God that we do very good in the years to come, because we will be the majority in this country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Novello. It is a true honor to have you here today. Honestly, I think everybody in this virtual conference room knows who you are, and the level of admiration we feel towards you is incredible. Also, we want to thank Marisa, we want to thank Jose Nido for all their well-deserved recognitions and their constant support to the Latina entrepreneurs and the Latino community. So now we are going to welcome Vanessa Hayden, the Director of Claims Quality Assurance at Nationwide, who will be providing closing remarks on behalf of Nationwide, the title of sponsor of the business series today. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Nationwide, thank you for being a part of the Latina Style Business Series today, and for setting aside this time to invest in yourselves and your businesses. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from such an accomplished group of business experts and owners, and that you are taking away helpful insights and resources to support you in this current economic climate. Nationwide commends Latina Style, Robert Bard, Lupita Colmenero, Deanne Hernandez, Tanya Davila, the entire Latina Style team, and all of our great speakers today for sharing their time, talent, and wisdom to help support our community of Latina business owners. I'd also like to congratulate the Orlando Entrepreneur of the Year, Marisa Rivera of Empowerment Works, Pioneer Award honoree, Jose Nido of Wyndham Destinations, and Lifetime Achievement honoree, Dr. Antonia Novello, 14th U.S. Surgeon General. The contributions each of you make to your business and community are invaluable. For nearly 100 years, Nationwide has been committed to protecting what matters most to people through our insurance and financial service products. Like many of the companies represented here today, Nationwide began as a small business founded by a group of entrepreneurs, and we've grown to be a Fortune 100 company. With Latina businesses being the fastest growing businesses in the country, Nationwide congratulates you on the impact you make in your family and community with your businesses. I'd like to take a moment to encourage you to visit our Business Solutions Center to view the 3-part online business builder program we created in partnership with Ramiro Cavazos' team at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. A small investment of less than 60 minutes could have a significant impact on your business. So please visit nationwide.com/biglegacies. And on behalf of the entire Nationwide family, thank you again for being here today. And remember that Nationwide is on your side.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for those remarks. Well, this conference is coming to an end, but before, I would like to thank Robert and Latina Style, Lourdes, Karen, and to our wonderful audience who has taken the time to join us today. And as you all know, this type of events could not be possible without the support of the partners and sponsors we have today. And now let me welcome back our co-chairs, starting with Karen Vergara to give her closing remarks. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Valeska. Did you notice all the wonderful Latina women who were part of our conference? Who's not to say that one day you'll be here, hopefully in person, sharing the stage with other amazing Latinas who are making their mark in this wonderful community. I'd like to take a moment to give special thanks to Lourdes Mola for inviting me to be co-chair of this event. It wasn't long ago when I was a 12-year-old moving to the US with my parents, not speaking a word of English, but dreaming of fulfilling my professional goals and making my family proud. It is thanks to individuals like Lourdes and so many other friends and mentors, many who I know are attending the conference, that I'm here today. No matter where you are in your professional journey, I encourage you to be attentive to the women and men around you who can be lifted up by your mentorship. Remember, one hand up and one hand down. That is the way we can continue to race together and make a statement in this community. Thank you to the whole team at Latina Style for putting this event together and our sponsors for making this possible. And now please welcome back my wonderful co-chair for the conference, Lourdes Mola, to give her final remarks.
Thank you so much, Karen. I couldn't have said anything more than she's just remarkable. Again, thank you to Robert and Lupita, the Latina Style. When we said we were going to put this together in December, I think it was in October when I heard this, I said, oh my goodness. But you know what? It was flawless. It was impactful. The speakers were great. And I hope that everyone got as much out of it as I did. I think, you know, what we learned here is that Latinas are resilient. You know, with all of this, small businesses have fared well. There's opportunities out there. There's so many resources. We heard it from the SBA. We heard it from getting certified, from all of these different things. Explore them, open yourself up to opportunities. You know, just because we can't meet in person, as much as we love hugging and everything, you know, there's a lot that we can do through social media, through these Zoom calls. You know, sometimes they get, you know, we don't like them as much, but we're making it work. So, you know, have faith, be positive. And I think there's a lot of light ahead. And I hope that, you know, we do decide to do this in person next year. I pray that happens, and we'll be giving each other big hugs. So thank you once again for letting me be a part of this great morning, great day. And you know, please, you know, if there's anything that we can do, please reach out. I think that Latina Style has our information. That we'll be happy to be the mentors, to help you whatever we can do, because I think it's important for all of us to pay it forward. I want to congratulate Marisa on her award, Jose Nido, which has been absolute pioneer in our community, and Doctora Novelo. So thank you once again for letting me be a part of this. And then, oh, I have some great news. So all of us heard the story, I think, of Cynthia, and she was wonderful with Coco Andre. So there is 2 winners to the package. Here it is, wonderful Coco Andre giveaway provided by Nationwide. And the 2 winners are, drum roll please, Andrea Rivera and Frank Gomez. Andrea Rivera and Frank Gomez. So we will get in touch with you so we can get the information, your address, and they will be shipped to you. I love this package, and more so because we heard the story from Cindy Pedraza. So thank you once again. And now I will hand it over to Robert for our closing.
Thank you so much, Lourdes. I'm casting a spell. Oh, it's been so serious, and you ladies, I wanted to hear some outrageous stories as well. What happened? How come you didn't tell us when you threw out, the funniest thing that happened in the whole conference is the fact that, Janet, when not only bought out her competitor, but then she married him. That was unbelievable. That was great. So congratulations, Janet, on that double play. I mean, that is really something. With this business series here in Orlando, we conclude the 22nd anniversary of the Latina Style Business Tour. I need to thank a number of people, but so I don't forget and make sure that for this year, I would like to begin by thanking our very, very generous and hardworking sponsor Nationwide. To be honest with you, when we received the news right after we got back from DC after conducting the Latina Style 50 conference in Washington, DC, I think it was like within 5 days, all travel had been shut down for corporations. And at the same time, we couldn't do in face-to-face events, no matter how much when first, like Lourdes said, we started in May, we moved it to September, we moved November, and then we decided, we just cannot go any further. We'll go to December and hold it virtual. So all the events for the balance of the year for Latina Style since February have been held virtual. It's been a learning experience, like all of you. What has happened has been that, in a way, we have benefited from the fact that we've gone international with the business series, and we got people logging in and questions from all over the world, which is the way it happens when we host our National Latina Symposium event in DC for Latinas in the military service. So we're just really thankful to anybody who's logged in, to anybody who's come to our event. And we're thankful for your questions and commentaries and everything this time. Another thing that really worried me through the years about the Latina Style Business Series is that we had such amazing presenters and speakers, like the ones you have seen today. And then we would have the event and poof, they would disappear. Now we have everything recorded. So you'll be able to access parts or the whole event, online. And when you get our notice after thanking you for your participation after the event, you'll get all the links and everything that you need to make sure that you'll be able to access the conference. So, I would like to begin by thanking, our premier sponsor, our title sponsor Nationwide, who has been standing by our side that, when the pandemic, really hit hard. I remember speaking to Lou Yarborough, who said, you don't need to worry, our commitments to the mission continue. We'll just find a way to do it virtually. We all learn from this. And the team at Nationwide has been spectacular. Not only Lou, but as well as Lori Burgos, who's been doing her series of legends. Hope Jacoby, who's been tremendous in helping us navigate through all these different stumbling blocks that you find along the way. And of course, Kimberly Blackwell, who with PMM has been the company implementing the participation for Nationwide. I also would like to thank our friends at Patty Juarez with Wells Fargo. She has been amazing, and she is the second market that she's come with, and we have worked with Wells Fargo through the years in many different places. So we hope that you took a lot of notes when we talk about the virtual financial issues that you can resolve and how can empower yourself by being a friend to your banker. And let me tell you, be a friend to your banker. You don't want to be a name or a number on the internet for them. You want them to know you. Bank of America and Raul Anaya and his team in LA, and Raul Bustillos and Maria Arias, thank you so much for your support as well. We also would like to support our American Airlines, although we haven't gone everywhere like we used to this year. Without your support, the series could not be happening. And now I really, you know, it's 22 years that we have 22 years that we have conducted the business series. Chase for Business, thank you so much for the support. Alice Rodriguez, congratulations on becoming the Madam Chair of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And thank you so much to Ramiro Cavazos and the Chamber of Commerce for their partnership across the nation. You know, 22 years ago, when we wanted to create a small networking event for Latina entrepreneurs, since we were getting so many questions at Latina Style Magazine about entrepreneurship, we decided to do a little event, a networking event in LA for maybe 50 people. So we set it up, and guess what? We ended up with 400 Latinas, you know, joining us for that networking event. However, we also ended up with another 400 that were raving mad that we had excluded them. And we did not want to exclude anybody. So we returned. We apologized profusely first, of course, for underestimating how many Latina business owners there were in Los Angeles. And we returned about a month later to begin what has begun the Latina Style Business Series. This event today has been 141. That's a lot of different cities. And over 39,000 Latina entrepreneurs have gone through the program. So when we wanted to begin the program, we went to the Small Business Administration, who is our first partner for the series. And we had the opportunity to meet with Aida Alvarez, who was the administrator of the SBA. And she said immediately, she said, yeah, we'll go together. Let's do the series across the United States. Well, this year, after all these years, we have been blessed to have another wonderful Latina as one of our partners, and that is Jovita Carranza, the administrator of the SBA, and with her deputy, Alan Gutierrez. They have been tremendous partners for the work that we've done. So thank you them for all that they've done. By the way, so you know, if the SBA can help you, well, in 1993, we walked into Wilfredo Gonzalez's office. He was the administrator for Washington, D.C., and told him that we were thinking of doing this. And basically what he did, he gave us a corner of his office in Washington, D.C., at the SBA headquarters, and that's where Latina Style was launched. And him and Gil Colon, his partner over there, were instrumental in making possible for us to have this event. There are so many people that we have to thank, but you'll be able to read all about them in the next issues of Latina Style. Finally, I would like to let you know the incredible work that our staff has put in. You know, I would like to thank my wife and partner, Lupita Colmenero. I also would like to thank all the people in our staff that actually work on the series. Although the series is managed with Deanne Hernandez, managed by Deanne. This is her first series that she managed. We also had Tania Davila working on the series for years. Diana Ramirez, Maru Gallegos, Gloria Gloria Romano Barrero, who is the person that if you guys want a story in Latina Style Magazine, you need to contact her. And our wonderful social media partner, social media director here at Latina Style, who is Valeria Rodriguez. Valeria has been doing an amazing job. And I hope that I haven't forgotten anybody, but Lourdes and Karen, thank you so much for the work that you've done. And thank you so much to our award recipients. And now you'll be able to see a little bit that of Latina Style through the Latina Style business series through the years in Orlando and what happened in 2020. So Maru, if you can go please to the video.